What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Thank you guys for joining us here today. My name is Max. I'm the CEO of Because Bitcoin. We are joined today for a special edition of our YouTube content. We are hanging out today with Crashes Clay 69, a good friend from Twitter, an absolute legend, absolutely one of the best shot callers in the game. If you are watching on the BB YouTube channel, you should probably be familiar with Crash at this point, but if you're not, his socials are down in the description below. But yeah, guys, welcome. Crash and I were chatting on Telegram. We were just talking about charts and tickers and stuff like that, and said, hey, you know what? It's been a little bit since we streamed together, and the last couple went well, and it was fun, and everybody learned and had a good time. So we figured, why not? Right? It's been a while. Let's run it back. People have a lot of questions about the state of the market right now. There's a lot of turbulence locally, but I think we're gonna clear all that up for you guys today. I'm gonna share my thoughts. Crash is gonna share his. We have some topics like some tickers and things that we want to talk about, but I think generally where at least where I shine and where I find comfort is just a free flowing conversation, because that's the thing about markets is you can go in with a plan, but you truly never know where you're going to end up. You kind of have to submit to the market, and I view TA the same way and analysis the same way. So we're going to maybe just start with like Bitcoin and ETH, and we're gonna see where the road takes us. But Crash, bro, thanks for being here. I'm thrilled that we could do this again. I had a great time the last two times, so I'm sure today will be great also.
Yeah, it's always good when you're sitting alongside the fucking best chartist in the entire planet. To anyone who doesn't know Max, this guy has the best visuals for charts, because a lot of times you know nothing about charts, right? Or like that's just not your cup of tea for a lot of people. Like you just don't know how do they work, what you're looking at. So he can kind of break things down in a way where if you know nothing about charts, you can just visually see it in a really easy way. And so I think it's really good because I feel like I'm messy and like kind of not the best at showing things visually, whereas Max is the complete opposite. He's really good at showing that to everyone, and that's why, I really am happy to always do a stream with Max. But I just want to say before we start, the main reason for me too, for why I wanted to do this stream with Max today, is because I'm sitting here, right, and I have these positions. For example, right, everyone knows like my biggest position is Litecoin. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, do I really keep that big of a position of Litecoin? Or maybe do I rotate a million out of it into some other like plays that will give me a higher return? Where, maybe instead of turning, a million into 4 million with Litecoin, maybe I'm going to be able to turn a million into 8 million or 10 million, right? So I can rotate some of my Litecoin position out into some other trading pairs that will actually give me a higher return possibly. So I'm legit. I've been looking at all these pairs. I've been looking at everything, trying to decide like, do I keep that much in Litecoin or do I want to rotate some of that out? So that's why I really want to go over some of the pairs and these charts to understand, all right, is this going to outperform Litecoin or not? Is this going to outperform Bitcoin or Ethereum? And like, what is the best thing for me to hold with size outside of just meme coins like Brett and Bobo and some of these other things? Because, Litecoin is where I am storing my wealth, I guess, or my, that's where I'm saving. Instead of US dollars, I save in Litecoin right now. But do I want to take out some of my safety and, actually put that in a higher risk things where I could get a greater return for my future? So that's kind of the way I'm looking at my portfolio. That's how I'm looking at the way I'm doing things. It's like, do I want to rotate some of my safety into higher risk? So anyways, long-winded thing there, but I just wanted to share why I am literally getting on this live stream today to basically pick Max's brain and look at some of these charts with him together so I can actually boost my fucking portfolio and know like what should I be putting my money into by looking at these pairs with him. So that's like ultimately like my main motive today is to actually structure my portfolio by looking at these charts with Max and going over them live together. So yeah.
Let's do it, man. I always tell you this. You're way too kind to me. Crash, he definitely mentioned something. I lean into the charts quite a bit. I love to share it with you guys, but I do it for myself. I'm such a visual learner that if I don't map it out in a very easy, colorful way to understand, it just doesn't stick with me. So I figured out a way to make sense of a very complicated and complex subject, being financial markets. So I'm glad that people are receptive to it. And yeah, let's dive into some pairs, man. Maybe we could maybe we should start with like Bitcoin just to set the stage a little bit, and then we'll get into some more specifics, and we'll talk about your precious Litecoin. Okay, I've got some thoughts for you about Litecoin. It it's good, but
Yeah.
you kind of alluded to something too, like, that there is a certain inherent opportunity cost to holding something with size. Like, and it doesn't mean it's a bad investment, right? It just means that if you're sizing into something, with $5 million, and it goes up 2x, that might be great, but there might have been a comparable investment or something maybe worth considering that was overlooked. Um, that could have turned that 5 million into 20 million. So that's kind of what I really try to focus on with my pair trading is I never want to be a victim of opportunity cost ever. And it's inevitable, right? Everybody makes mistakes, everybody over allocates to an underperformer from time to time. But that's really the beauty of pair trading is asset versus asset. That's what wealthy people do, man. Wealthy people don't hold cash. Like, you want to go asset to asset. You want things that at least have the opportunity to appreciate against fiat currency, which is just going to perpetually be inflated away. But I'll share some thoughts around, Bitcoin here, and I'm going to start. Crash, obviously, bro, just like you kind of know how I roll. Like, I'll just start cooking, and it's going to be hard for me to stop. So literally, if you want to jump in, just cut me off. Like, we'll just have a free flowing conversation. But I think a lot of people, and we'll just go to the 2 week time frame. Okay, so here's Bitcoin. I know this is super elementary, okay, but I think it makes sense to start here because a lot of people seem to be hyper fixated on the ultra low time frames right now. Um, and I think it can sometimes help to just issue a little refresher here, okay? So for one, I'm gonna pull up two different really, really simple charts, very, very few lines, and then we're gonna get a little bit more complex. Okay, here's the Bitcoin halvings, all right? And here, actually, let me even go to like the 3 week. Here's the Bitcoin halvings, guys. We literally just had a Bitcoin halving, and it's not uncommon for us to see a little bit of local turbulence and volatility, or we'll just even say like a delay or a pause before things really start to heat up. And some people out there will call them like Bitcoin halving deniers. They're like, oh, the Bitcoin halving is a meme. It doesn't matter. It doesn't actually affect, Bitcoin's price. It's a coincidence. For one, I personally I don't really believe in coincidences. Second of all, it's econ 101. All right. Um, you know, on any given day, a Bitcoin miner is potentially going to be your largest entity selling Bitcoin. They need to sell Bitcoin in order to, subsidize their business. They need to sell Bitcoin for cash so that they can make payroll, cover electricity costs, a whole bunch of things. It's a very expensive operation. So on any given day, your greatest potential seller is going to be a Bitcoin miner potentially. Now there's whales and stuff like that, but Bitcoin miners, they're freeing up new supply, right? So basically from one day to the next, a Bitcoin miner has half of the new fresh available daily supply that they did the following day, right? So if your potential largest seller on any given day being Bitcoin mining entities or conglomerates now have half of the available supply or new supply available to sell, and demand of this asset remains constant, if not hopefully increases, as I think it is, you get these bubbles, right? It's not a coincidence that this happens every single time. But zooming in a little bit, just to provide some perspective before we get a little bit more granular, okay? Let's take a look at what happened in 2016. Right after the second Bitcoin halving, we actually had a small drop, right? We actually had a little bit of a drop and a little bit of a bleed. We came back, we filled in some of these inefficiencies, all the way down here. Like, we came back, perfect retest, previous level, and then ultimately we went crazy, right? But if at this moment in time everybody was like, oh, the Bitcoin halvings don't matter, and oh, look, we just had like a 35 or 40% correction, you would have missed obviously the meat of the move, right? Which came, I think it was like 300 days or whatever after the Bitcoin halving, so let's see, sorry, 500 days, right? So Bitcoin halving and then 500 days. Let's take a look at the next one. Actually, we'll zoom in a little bit more just to provide some additional perspective. Look at what happened after the previous Bitcoin halving, the third one. Bitcoin halving, look how much time we spent. Like, look at how much time we spent from this Bitcoin halving until when we really went crazy. It's 161 days, right? This was grueling. I remember sitting here during this. This was grueling. I remember being like, damn, is it just like not going to happen this cycle? I remember, feeling so excited about this Bitcoin halving, and then we got junk price action following that, right? And then look at what happened. The meat of the move happened, and It was a very similar amount of time from this Bitcoin halving all the way until, the first top was 300 days, and then the actual global top was 546 days, right? So 500 plus days from the Bitcoin halving to the global top, both the second Bitcoin halving and the third Bitcoin halving. So definitely some similarities, right? So, you could make a case for this cycle being slightly expedited, right? But in my opinion, it'd be very shocking. It'd be very atypical to see us right now have a Bitcoin halving and like somehow nuke, right? And additionally, this is a really long conversation. I'm not going to talk forever about it, but there's nothing in my opinion right now that is going to be a trigger for or a catalyst for a move like that, right? I see a lot of people talking about like, retrace to 50K or 45K or 44K. And they're being awfully loud right now. And in my opinion, the stage is not set for price action like that. I mean, furthermore, for one, we just had a Bitcoin halving, right? Like, look at this. If we get the same thing as we've got the previous two cycles, this would take us out into Q3 or, potentially even Q4 of next year, right? But there's no reason to think that we would have that deep of a correction. I mean, for one, going back 2 years for Bitcoin, we haven't had more than a 23% pullback, right? There is measurably diminished volatility on Bitcoin as it's maturing as an asset and crypto as an asset class. As it's becoming larger on the global stage, there is diminished volatility, right? Bear markets are not quite as rough. Bull markets are not quite as prosperous. There's still plenty to go around. But because of how it's maturing and it's sort of merging with TradFi now with these ETFs and passive flows, and people can DCA, automatically on their phones and in their retirement accounts, you're not seeing these 40 to 45% corrections like Bitcoin has displayed in previous bull markets. So I wanted to just kind of get this out there right away. Like, look, my analysis is focused on the higher time frames. I know a lot of people out there, they're stuck on the hourly, or even the minute time frames. And if you zoom in, on Bitcoin here, we're on the 15-minute time frame. All right, look at this chart. This is egregious. This is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. I mean, what are you supposed to do with this, right? Even let's go to like the 4-hour, right? I mean, look at this chart. This is a mess. This is an absolute mess. Like, I don't blame you for feeling bearish because look we pump, we get sold off. We pump, we get sold off. Like, you're being conditioned to feel locally like this thing is going to, completely unwind. And in my opinion, it's not going to. We're really stuck in a range right here, and we've been here for a while. So, Crash, I'm just going to keep cooking, man. But like I said, if you feel like interjecting at any point, like just pop in.
No,
But
it's good you go over the bigger view like this, because I always be like, well, Bitcoin halving, I feel like everyone knows it, and then I'll just like go over it. Whereas a lot of people, when you zoom out, you'll give them a lot more clarity that maybe I would go over, right? And just not take the time to explain. So it's good, bro.
cool. So, even drawing some more comparisons, right? Just because I want to set the stage before, because look, none of your altcoins are going to perform well if Bitcoin is not in price discovery. Like, there might be some select ones that do okay, right? There's always an outlier, but as a bundle, as a basket, in order for your altcoins, doesn't matter what it is, to really prosper and for us to have a textbook alt season, you need Bitcoin, in price discovery, ripping above 70, 75K. All right, so I want to set the stage just a little bit here, just to convey that we have in fact seen price action like this before. So even though maybe it's frustrating locally, it is familiar. So let's take a look right now. Let's do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out the previous cycle all-time high for Bitcoin, which was, as we know, 69K. So previous cycle all-time high, and we'll do this, and then we'll zoom in a little bit, okay? So this right here is Bitcoin right now. All right, so this is Bitcoin present day. And now we're going to go back and we're going to look at Bitcoin in 2017. All right, and here actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this over to BLX because this is the accurate one. So we're going to mark out the previous cycle all-time high for Bitcoin here, if I can get it to stick to the top, because I want to show that although you're truly being conditioned to be bearish here, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Previous cycle all-time high. All right, and I'll even label this actually. So this is the 2017. I'll do it this way, actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at right before Bitcoin went crazy in 2017 and obviously went on to, go to 20K and above. We saw some very comparable price action to truthfully what we're seeing right now. So I'll label this just to make it overwhelmingly clear. This is Bitcoin 2024, and we'll make it orange for Bitcoin. And then we're going to move this over here, and this is Bitcoin in 2017, okay, right before it went into price discovery. And you can see I have the previous cycle all-time highs both labeled here with, horizontal line and blue text. Now, the point of me showing this is not to say we're going to go straight up, even though I think we are getting to the end of the road and that's coming soon. It's to show basically what happened before we went straight up, all right? Now, let's take a look at when Bitcoin finally got above the previous cycle all-time high. In 2017, right? It was this little wick. You can see we wicked above it and then we rejected hard, went back above it again, rejected hard. And then I would say like somewhere around here, you would consider this like we're finally in price discovery, right? Took a little bit of time. So let's take a measured move, right? From when Bitcoin finally breached the previous cycle all-time high, January 5th, 2017, until it finally went into price discovery, like finally went into price discovery. I can change how this looks a little bit. Actually, I don't mind that. Let's do that. You guys can see that. It was 114 days. So from the point when Bitcoin finally breached the previous cycle all-time high in 2017, before it ultimately went on to go crazy, it took 114 days. Why did that delete? 2017. All right. Took 114 days. Now let's see where we're at right now. All right. Let's take a look at where we're at right now. So we finally breached the previous cycle all-time high for Bitcoin right over here. This date is March 5th. Okay. Now, obviously, we're not really in price discovery yet. We're just chopping right around the previous cycle all-time high, similarly to what Bitcoin did kind of in this vicinity, right? It's never the same, but it's close, right? It's the spirit of the move that we're looking to capture. Right now, Bitcoin has been doing this for 100 days, right? We're obviously still down here. We're, in my opinion, if you had to kind of point out where we're at, we're somewhere around here. Okay. We're kind of doing the 2017 dance. All right. We're somewhere in this vicinity. Your final sell off, your final trap before ultimately things get crazy. Now, 114 days would potentially take us out to, if we did exactly what we did in 2017, that would take us out to the very end of June, like the last week of June. So, we're going to be watching very closely, but I can say, with a high degree of confidence that we're seeing some real similar structural similarities to what happened in 2017, not only structure, but also from a timing perspective, where you're kind of being conditioned to think like, hey, because we haven't moved up yet, we must move down. That's not necessarily the case. Just because we haven't broken to the upside doesn't mean that this is bearish. As cliche as this sounds, the longer the base, the higher into space. I know that's super cliche, but there is some truth to it, because when you finally break out of a range like this, it's usually not a little tiny, it's a little tiny blip. Okay. Now, what I want to show here as well, and we'll see if we can fit this all onto one page here. Oops, I didn't need all of this. We will delete this. I want to show what happened when Bitcoin finally decided to take that next step upwards, right? So let's draw a vertical line here for when Bitcoin finally decided to go crazy in price discovery. All right, we'll just make this, we'll make it red. Bitcoin, we can agree that right around this date, like the last couple of days of April, Bitcoin in 2017 finally went on into price discovery. All right. Now, what am I showing here on the bottom? What I'm showing here on the bottom is Bitcoin dominance. Okay. So I'm sure those of you that, follow Crash, I'm sure he talks about it from time to time and you're familiar with what this is, but think of a pie chart, right? Bitcoin dominance is really important because it represents Bitcoin as a percentage of the total crypto market cap of all of crypto. So right now we're at about 55.5%. So what that means is, again, think of a pie chart. If Bitcoin dominance is at 55%, that means that Bitcoin as an asset, it represents just over half of all of crypto. All right. So ideally what we see during alt season is Bitcoin breaks above the previous cycle all-time high, finally with conviction, goes into price discovery, and then that triggers a Bitcoin dominance bleed. All right. As you can see, Just as Bitcoin was finally breaking up and going into price discovery, Bitcoin dominance in 2017 nuked from 85% all the way down to 50%, right? That was really aggressive. So what are the implications of that, right? The implications of that is Bitcoin USD. So Bitcoin is going up and it's losing market share. That can only mean one thing. That means that altcoins, despite Bitcoin performing tremendously well, altcoins are actually absorbing and stealing market share from Bitcoin. All right. So where are we at right now? Again, I'm trying to set the stage here before we talk about alts, because it's important that you understand why I am bullish alts and why I'm bullish the alts that I am. It's not just an arbitrary thing, right? It's all tied to the US economy, which is tied to Bitcoin, which, your altcoins, as big or small as they may be, they all come full circle and all really depend on Bitcoin going into price discovery, like we're showing here. So again, what am I looking for right here? I'm basically looking for Bitcoin to, maybe it comes down here locally. I wouldn't be surprised to see 64. It's not my base case, but it could happen. And then slowly recover, go into price discovery here this summer. And at the very same time, just like 2017, that triggers a Bitcoin dominance sell off. And we actually see Bitcoin dominance moving down while Bitcoin USD is moving up, which again, could only mean one thing. It means that although Bitcoin is performing well, it's actually losing market share to altcoins, just like what happened in 2017. So, Crash, I want to let you get a word in here, man, because I don't want to waffle for 2 hours, but I wanted to set the stage as to what I'm expecting on the higher time frame soon before we get into alts.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. A lot of you guys out there, you're so focused on meme coins that you forget that it ultimately depends on Bitcoin to perform somewhat well, right? And then basically your meme coins are leverage bets on Bitcoin when we're in a market that is liquid. You need a liquid market. If the market's not liquid, if the market's not doing well, then, well, the thing is about your meme coins and shit coins, they're liquid. So it doesn't take that much selling pressure to tank the prices of your memes and your altcoins. And so that's why you need, once again, a liquid market, a market that more money is coming into than leaving. And that's going to allow your charts to actually, right, whether it's Brett, whether it's a dog shit coin out there, that's what's going to allow them to not go straight to zero. If you're in an illiquid market, these things will cascade and they're going to go much closer to zero. So yeah, basically if Bitcoin sets the stage properly, then we can actually party. Then we can actually make the ridiculous, 100x pluses in the memes. And that's why we take the time to highlight Bitcoin. We take the time to highlight the bigger picture, because if we can get the bigger picture right, then we can play in the meme coins. Then we can actually make money there. But forget it. If Bitcoin is crashing down to 30K, man, none of us are going to make money in that area that we are finding a lot of success in, and that I think we're going to find ridiculous amounts of success in this cycle, right? Because like I've been saying, I think we're going to be in a meme coin bubble, whereas last cycle, I believe it was a layer one bubble, right? You had all these layer one blockchains like Algorand, Elrond, freaking, Solana, AVAX, Luna. I mean, there's just like over 100 L1s that launched. And so those sucked up a lot of the money flow last cycle. But now I think we're going to see that the meme coins are going to start to suck up a lot of that money flow and attention this cycle. And so anyways, once again, Bitcoin is going to be on a trajectory up to 100K plus, but then it's going to actually be losing market share and dominance to altcoins. That is the environment where we're going to actually start to make massive amounts of money. And so right now, like we've been saying, it's the pre-game warm-up. Right now, the market hasn't even actually favored our altcoins yet, because as you can see, look at the bottom right chart on Max's screen right now. That's Bitcoin dominance. It's been going up. When Bitcoin dominance is going up, well, that's not where the real money is made. The real money is made when Bitcoin dominance goes lower and Bitcoin is still going higher. So basically, if you understand that, you can confidently sit here with just with confidence, right? Knowing that the best is actually yet to come. And that's not hype. That's not moon boy shit. No, that's just visible on the charts that mania, right? That the excitement, that the actual bullish move in the market doesn't happen until Bitcoin dominance starts to roll over, right? So once again, look at the chart on the left side that Max is showing you. See the orange line? When it goes down, Bitcoin goes parabolic, and that's when your altcoins go up. See, once again, now look on the right side of the chart. Bitcoin dominance has been going up, right? So once again, the real move the real juice doesn't happen until Bitcoin dominance rolls over. That's where you're going to see mania. That's where you're going to see the hype. That's where you're going to see the moon boys return. And, if you remember last cycle when Bitcoin is hovering around 60K, everyone, it was just ridiculous amounts of YouTube videos and content. And it was just super moon boy, man. Like, I got sick of it. I was tired of the moon boy targets. Whereas right now, you don't have nearly as much moon boys. You don't have all that excitement. You have a lot of actually, like, it's like we're in a mini depression, even though prices around the all-time highs right now. So tops are not made when people are depressed or bored. Like, tops are made when the market is going fucking crazy and everyone's making a shitload of money. Because when everyone's up a shitload of money, that means there's a lot of profit to be taken, right? And that's what creates the falls, and that's what creates the disappointment in the price action, where it could be going parabolic and then it just cascades lower as people get liquidated, as people their hopes, and, like, let's say they sold, some people, like last cycle, were selling their houses as things were going higher. And then they start losing that money. They panic sell on the way down, right? Because, like, holy shit, I liquidated my house to get into Bitcoin. Now, oh my God, now it's starting to drop. The hype is over, and then bam, it just panic sells off, right? So just as fast as things can go up, they can come down very quickly. And so it's just like, the whole point is, we're very far from that point in time. We're very far from things getting so excited, so fucking crazy, so bullish. And so anyways, that's why we're just setting the stage here. Because, man, if we can front run that, if we can understand these charts in front of us right here, that's how we can sit here with confidence. And, like, that's the main thing, man. You need confidence in where you are with the timing and, like, where you overall are. Because I always tell people, man, you could buy Bitcoin at $500, but if you're just going to sell it on a dip to $300, it means nothing. You could have found Brett at 100 million market cap, and it doesn't matter. You could have sold it on a dip to 70 million before it rockets to 1.9 billion. So you could have the best assets in your hands. You could have the best coins. You could have a 100x opportunity right there in your hands. But if you don't understand the charts, you're probably just going to sell it for a loss, because you don't understand where are you in the cycle. Where are you based on the charts? Where is Bitcoin dominance? When is it going to roll over possibly? When is the real meat of the move going to come? And so I see a lot of clueless people who, like I saw a comment today, a guy was like, oh, I made 2x on Brett and I sold because, it's hard for me to hold, and I don't really I just don't have faith, in like what I'm doing. And so, like, man, I saw 2x and I just took profit. I saw that comment today on Twitter. And see, that's the thing. That guy doesn't have confidence because he doesn't understand this Bitcoin dominance chart. He doesn't understand that literally the charts always go up, after the halving, and there's usually like a pause after the halving, which we've been seeing. So anyways, that guy who will sell for a 2x, that guy could have probably made a 20 or 30x if he just had some more awareness of the charts and where we were. Right. But then also, through our awareness of when to be bullish, we can become aware of when to be bearish, when to actually be locking in gains and profits. So all these things, if you understand when to be bullish, then you can be more understanding of when to be bearish. And that's why we look at these charts, because also you're going to want to take profit at some point. You're going to want to lock in some gains at some point. And if your only strategy to doing this is hoping that shit goes up, hoping that, you can double your money, like, you're going to buy the top hoping to double your money, and there's no process there. There's nothing there. Like, you're not looking at the things that you need to be looking at. So anyways, now that we set the stage, I guess we'll get into some pairs, man. I want to show you something which, let's see, let me share my screen here. So I'm not sure if you remember when I showed you this. I think I showed it on the last live stream, but take a look at this. You can see my screen, right? We're good?
Yep.
Okay.
I see it.
So I remember when the S&P 500 was in its bear market downtrend, right? And I have like these 4 green arrows, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on Bitcoin, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then look, you had this drive lower, right? Right here. And then that second drive lower to a slightly lower low, right? So you can see same thing happened here. You had this drive lower, then you had that second drive lower, right? And then so I marked out these orange arrows, right? So I pointed this out like a month ago. It's been a while now. And so basically what I did was I copied over the pattern here, right? Basically this right here, I just copy that over and put it here. And as you can see, we've been following that pattern like pretty much exactly, right? And so now you combine what my little pattern recognition, right?
Mhm.
Because look how closely that's following,
And
right?
by the
Like,
way, guys, pattern recognition, like, is that's some secret sauce. And what that is, guys, is that's screen time. There is the best bit of alpha I can share with you is spend time in front of the screen so that your mind sees things like this, because fractals play on all different time frames. Like this right here, it may seem like a simple drag and drop, but I'm telling you, the hours that Crash has spent, presumably sitting in front of the charts, he's seeing this stuff in his head, right? So he sees this the same kind of price action playing out on Bitcoin. He says, "Hey, we've been here before, right? Learn to
yeah.
fractal."
And I've heard people say that like pattern recognition is the sign of genius or whatever. I feel like for me, right, I rely on patterns more than anything. And patterns, they don't always play out the same, but more times than not they do, right? And so this is a massive edge whenever I can find a pattern in the chart from the past and I can just copy that over and I see that we're following it. Look, dude, this pattern, it could just stop, right? Like Bitcoin could tank, but I know the chances of Bitcoin just all of a sudden tanking here and not following this pattern are lower than it following the pattern. So this just gives me an extra boost of confidence. I know that it doesn't have to play out the exact same, but I know it's something that's in my favor and that gives me an edge, right? So once again, I'm not relying on this pattern. It doesn't have to play out the exact same, but once again, it's a thing that's in my favor. It's working for me, not against me, right? So I love to do that.
It's a
But
game of
anyways,
probabilities, man, is what it is. Like you
well, think about
recognize
this,
that there's
right?
no guarantees, but if there's a 70% chance based on previous sets of price action that you get follow through to the upside because of what's happened historically in other comparable assets or even indexes, right? Charts are human psychology printed in candlestick form, right? So that's why they work, right? You have people buying and selling, you have algos buying and selling. And it's not uncommon to see fractals like this cross asset classes play, right? So if you can attach a probability to it, even if it's not based on anything but subjectivity or an arbitrary figure in your mind, and you say to yourself, "Hey, I think there's a 7 times out of 10, I think that this pattern is going to play." Think about that. 7 times out of 10, and you're in this game for years and years and years. I'll take that any single time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also look at the timing of this, right? 105 days. Well, how well does that line up with your analysis comparing this to 2017, right? If we'll go back
Yeah.
to your chart, can you pull yours up again?
Yeah.
I'll hide my screen. And so you can see my pattern and my timing
Here, I'll
lines up
zoom
with
back
about
in so you can see
105
it.
days. If you look at your timing see, we both looked at this in different ways, right? Mine led me to a pattern that said 105 days. Yours has led you to compare a comparison from 2017, which says
This is
114
114.
days. So
We're
see
pretty
how
close.
close that is. Like, that's pretty amazing because we arrived to similar timing from very different patterns. Your pattern in the market that you observed was how we reacted around the 2017 all-time high. Or getting back up there in 2017.
Yep.
Whereas my pattern was like, okay, I was watching how the S&P broke out of its downtrend, and to me, it reminded me and it felt very similar to that. And so these are different times in the chart on different things, right? Yours was on Bitcoin, mine was on the S&P 500, but we found similarities from the past that we can kind of copy over to the present because they're so similar. And once again, doesn't mean it's going to play out exactly, but it's definitely more in our favor than not. And so then I know that I'm going to play with what's in my favor, not what's against me, right? Like I want factors that are working for me. And whereas a lot of people, like right now, let me share my screen again.
Yep.
Like people are going to be bearish on ETH,
I think
bro.
you
Here,
need to. I can't see your screen, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah, I'm putting it on right
All
now.
right.
Right, like I am so freaking bullish on ETH, man. Here, and so look, man, a lot of people they're going to be bearish on ETH, and this is the ETH market cap, by the way. I'll pull up just ETH actually, so everyone can see the price, right? And like to me, I am very confident that ETH will not go below $3,000, right? So the way I look at it, I made a tweet about this, right? So if ETH came down here, it would reverse the entire ETF pump, right? Which I don't think is going to happen. Just logically, it's less likely to happen when you consider all the new institutional money that can now come into ETH soon, post ETF. right? That's a very bullish thing for long-term demand and inflow. So it would make sense that, you're probably not going to go below that. I mean, is there a case where you could? Yeah, but once again, it just seems less likely, right? And so I can kind of look at this and then combine with your analysis of Bitcoin halvings and how we typically go up after them every single time. And then we combine all these factors of how we've been roaming around the all-time high in Bitcoin for quite a bit of time, just like we did in 2017, right? When I combine all these factors, far more factors are pointing bullish than bearish for me, right? So anyways, if I don't think ETH is going below 3,000, right, what's the downside? 12%. Like, oh my gosh, you don't think I can sit through 12% downside? Like, I'll be just fine, man. That doesn't scare me. I'm not a fucking 80-year-old fart with close to zero testosterone. Like, I'm okay. All right, I'm a young guy and I'll be fine. So that's the thing. 12% downside, and then I think ETH is going to
So are you
10,000.
talking hypotheticals, or is that something that you're expecting is a 12% retrace?
No. I'm not. I don't think it's going to dip 12%. I'm just saying, like, to me, I'm like, well, it's not even going to go down to 3,000 is the way I
Yeah.
see it, right? So I'm like, but let's just say, like, it were to dip to 3,000 or go below that. Okay, probably comes down to like 2,700. Once again, I don't think that's going to happen. So just the way I look at it, first off, I don't even think we're going to dip to 3,000. Worst case, though, okay, maybe 20%. Worst case, like I'm not scared of that downside at this point in the cycle, at this point in the chart. So, look, man, that's the way I look at it. And so, why the heck, right? If I can be confident that we're not going to go below like 3K, right? If I am confident in that, okay, 13% risk, but this thing can go to 10,000 plus dollars, right? It's like, how stupid would I have to be scared of 12%, 20% downside when this thing has 200% plus upside, right? And so when you just look at the numbers, like, okay, 10 to 20% downside looks like the worst case, which I don't even think is going to happen. But then reality, we know where this market's heading. We just had an ETH ETF, right? Institutional money is able to now invest like never before into this. Okay, then the upside is huge. Why would I sit here and be scared of fucking 20% downside in a thing that has 200% plus upside? It just doesn't make sense. I'll never be scared of that, man. And if you are scared of that, please take some steroids because you cannot compete with me naturally. That's a new line I came up with, man. I like it. So
You can't compete with me naturally.
exactly. So
That's funny.
yeah. So anyways, then that's the thing, right? Bitcoin is came back up to the all-time high. ETH hasn't yet, but I'm also really confident that ETH BTC bottom is fully in. So actually, I don't even care about the Bitcoin price anymore personally that much. Like obviously, I want to see a breakout past the all-time high and go into price discovery and make its way to 100K plus. But the way I see it, man, is this is the bottom, right? That is the bottom in the ETH BTC pair. So I expect ETH to outperform Bitcoin going forward, right? So if I expect ETH to outperform Bitcoin going forward, basically, if this is the bottom now, that's it, like up and to the right, right? It's just so now when you're looking at things, in my opinion, it's not even the most important to pair them or look at them denominated in Bitcoin. You want to look at them in terms of how are they going to outperform ETH, right? Because from here, I think once again, bottom is in, ETH is going to outperform Bitcoin,
And
right?
by the
So
way,
now,
Crash, you said that Bitcoin's back at its previous cycle all-time high, and ETH is still not quite there. That's exactly what we saw last cycle, by the way. Just for everybody out there, like we're seeing precisely what we've seen in previous cycles, which is Bitcoin leading the charge, Bitcoin dominance moving up, ETH BTC moving down as Bitcoin reestablishes value in that sort of upper supply region of the previous cycle. And then once Bitcoin finally takes that next move up into true price discovery, not like what we've seen so far, which is just a little kind of dipping its toe above, that's when Ethereum goes crazy. So what Crash is saying is pertinent to understand that when Bitcoin finally takes that next move into price discovery, you're going to see that ETH BTC pair presumably rip aggressively, right? And ETH, which we'll talk about, right? One, it's your benchmark. You need to make sure that your altcoin is outperforming and keeping up with ETH. But two, Ethereum is the rising tide that lifts all ships, right? When ETH goes up, everything goes up, right? If you think that you've seen a pump in your altcoins yet, you're sorely mistaken. We haven't seen alt season. Alt season is not when this chart that Crash is showing is bleeding and, kind of chopping, right? Alt season is when this chart is going vertical, like you can see there in early 2021. That's alt season. That's when everything on chain is pulling multiples every single day, day after day after day. It's not when this chart's going down. It's when it's breaking up aggressively, which we haven't seen yet.
Exactly. This is something that meme coin people are really bad at realizing because they're so sucked into their world. And I feel like meme coin people, to be honest, are some of the dumber people in the world. That's not to say there isn't smart people in meme coins, right? But when you think about the typical person that comes to meme coins, they're trying to get rich off of, a stupid coin usually, right? So it's just like it kind of attracts dumb people and dumb money. And so they don't even understand something so simple that ETH BTC going down, right? This is not the environment that your altcoins outperform. When ETH BTC is going up and to the right instead of down and to the right, this is your altcoin environment. See, they're totally different environments, right? So if your altcoins have been performing well in this down into the right environment, wait until we get into an up into the right environment, right? And so this is the thing. I'm so confident this is the bottom in ETH BTC that once again, okay, I told everyone this when I called the bottom in Bitcoin. Once again, on my channel, anyone can go back and watch, right? But I said when the bottom is in, all your job is to just be bullish from that point on every single dip. Same thing now with ETH BTC. Like once you know the bottom is in, right? Which I believed it very early on, right here on January 6th, I was live streaming my trade and saying that I believed it was the bottom. All right, once you know the bottom is in, it is up and to the right from there. All you need to do is buy the fucking dips. Every fucking red, buy it, okay? Here, they're panicking, saying it's going to come back down to 16, 17K. Right here, they're saying it's going to come back down to 16, 17K. These people get left behind because they're not playing the game they need to be playing, which is once the bottom is in, you get fucking bullish on every single red candle, every single dip, because the bottom's in. It's going to be up and to the right from there. And so once again, if I'm confident that ETH BTC bottom is in, just like I was confident that the bottom in Bitcoin was in down at 16K, then all my job is every motherfucking red candle and pullback in this pair, right? If this is the bottom and I believe it is up and to the right, every dip I am bullish on. And so as you can see here, we had the ETH ETF approved, bam, it pumps and it dips. So guess what I'm going to do? Because I believe the bottom is in this pair, I am bullish on every single dip. And by the way, we have this ETH ETF approval, it dips, and where does it dip right down to? Those previous highs that we fell from, right? And so we're coming down to what you could say is support now, and what I believe is an up and to the right market from here for this pair. So anyways, hopefully it's not too long-winded, but the point is, if the environment has shifted from a downtrend now in this pair to, and if I'm right that this is now going to be an uptrend in this pair, we're going to play in a much more friendly environment that is going to favor us and the altcoins that we are holding. And it's going to help us perform way better than most people who at this point, right, are going to be holding Bitcoin instead of altcoins. Well, look, I believe altcoins are going to heavily outperform Bitcoin from here. I think Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin from here. So while people now will hold Bitcoin, they're going to underperform ETH. They're going to underperform altcoins as this chart goes higher, right? So knowing the difference obviously is going to help you outperform others who are just going to hold Bitcoin now, right? So ultimately, if I can get the trend correct early on, I can make a shitload of money, right? Because if you bet big early in the trend and I'm right in this trend, right, we're going to start to see ETH BTC go up here, up here, up here. See, you are front running the trend reversal. You're front running all the money that starts to pile in and favor this pair. And so you can set your seeds, you can plant them now, and then watch all that money flow that starts to favor you. It's going to be pushing you in the right direction. It's going to be pushing the value of your assets way higher. And so anyways, That is just huge to me because like I love calling reversals. I love calling the bottoms. And so if I believe the bottom is there, man, it's up and to the right. Like I don't think you understand, guys. Like I'm spending so much time talking about this because I'm telling you, if we have been making this much money when this pair was going down,
Yeah.
wait until this pair is going up. You have no idea how good shit is about to get for us if I'm right that this is the bottom in the ETH BTC pair and it's up and to the right from here. And that's the
I
thing,
keep
man.
telling people that Crash. Like I feel like I'm a broken record, man. Like and first of all, like the fact that people have been making multiples on their altcoins amidst the ETH BTC bleed just tells you how crazy this next part is probably going to be. And if you're cool with it, Crash, I'd love to just show it a little example of what you're talking about right here, just to
Okay.
display it a little bit differently.
Is it cool if I just show like one more thing before
Yeah,
you
no,
go?
go for it. Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
So it's like this in this period where ETH BTC has been bleeding, man, the coins are absolutely shitting themselves, right? And so like look at something like SEI, which is down 60% from the highs right there, right? Like once again, when ETH BTC is going down, it is hard for your altcoins to perform well. That said, while majority of these altcoins are shitting the bed, while they fail to go against the market conditions, right? You do have some special outlier coins out there, which in unideal, suboptimal conditions, right? What is that again for altcoins? Once again, it's when ETH BTC pair is going down, right? Once again, when this pair is going down, you are in an altcoin like unfriendly environment. So as you can see, what are most altcoins doing? They're bleeding and shitting the bed. But right, so you look at SEI down and to the right. You look at something like this gaming coin down and to the right. You look at basically any of these coins and they are all shitting the bed because they're in what? Just an environment that is very hard for money to flow into them and favor them, right? And so, anyways, despite that, right, you look at what's in a downtrend in these unfavorable market conditions, and then you want to find what is performing in the worst conditions right now. Because if your assets can perform well in an unoptimal environment, what are they going to do when the environment shifts, right? When that ETH BTC pair starts going up and to the right, it starts to actually favor your coins and it starts to even favor these shitty coins that have been bleeding, right? Your best bets are just going to be amplified, right? See, while some of these coins are down and to the right, you have coins like Brett, which are just up and to the right, regardless of the market conditions. You have coins like Andy, which are up and to the right, regardless of the market conditions. By the way, Max, thank you. I put in last live stream together on Andy. I put in 15,000 and I'm up around 20,000 because of you. So I've more than doubled my money in an
Amazing.
environment where once again, right? Look at once again SEI. Okay, if I put my money into SEI last time we live streamed, I would be down on my money probably 30% right now. Right? So instead of being down 30% on my money, I am up more than double on my money there, right? 15K into 34K. That is how you get ahead and that is how you outperform people. Because while I made more than a 2x on Max's call, I could have been following other people. I could have been down 30% in that same time period. And that's how you go. And that's how I feel like, you go and get fucking rich, right? You got to outperform everyone else and you got to find the best assets that are going to perform the best. And so once again, I know you're about to go, right? So my bad. But it was
No,
just
keep
like the
cooking,
whole
bro. We
point.
got plenty of time. Keep cooking.
It's like while some of these assets shit the bed, some of these assets are just completely going against the suboptimal conditions. And these are the things, man, where if they can perform in these terrible conditions, imagine what they're going to do when the conditions are optimal. Imagine what some of these things are going to do when ETH BTC is going up and to the right. It's just going to be amplified, right? When money starts to actually favor these coins that are already doing amazing in these unideal conditions, these things are going to they're going to go ridiculous. And if you realize that, some of you wouldn't be selling your shit for a 2x right now. You wouldn't be nervous. Oh, I bought Brett at 600 million. It's at 1.2 billion right now. You wouldn't be nervous because you would understand, well, holy shit, my Brett did a 2x in these dog shit conditions. What is that going to do when this market snaps into optimal conditions for me? Like that 2x is going to turn into a 10, a 20, a 30x. And so once again, that's why we spend so much freaking time on the stream talking about these pairs, talking about Bitcoin, talking about the big picture. Because if you get it, you will have so much peace of mind. You'll go to sleep fine, knowing that the forces have been against you and you're winning. Now wait until the forces are with you and see how much you're going to start to fucking make. I'm telling you, we are not making like nothing right now. That's why you sit here, you watch my Brett position, which is worth around 10.4 million, right? You sit here and you watch this and you think I give a fuck about that value right now, bro. Once again, this is the value in suboptimal conditions. You fucking wait and see what happens when the market shifts into ideal conditions. And that's the thing. Most people don't understand market environments. They don't understand when the money flow is in their favor and when it's against them. I think the point is made, man. With the numbers you've seen right now, if you're performing well in this environment, just wait until the fucking market really turns on for you. Max, you go, bro. My bad.
You were cooking, Crash. Damn, you were like a hibachi chef, bro. Just food flying everywhere, man. That was epic. But Crash is 100% correct. Like I wanted to just kind of go off of what he was saying, right, on this ETH BTC discussion and actually show you guys a little bit of a different way to look at it. It's conveying the exact same thing. But for those that need a really clear visual, guys like me, this is kind of how I understand things. All right. So this is the chart that Crash was showing on the left over here. This is ETH paired against Bitcoin. Really, what you're doing is you're just valuing ETH against Bitcoin. Okay. So this chart's moving down, Bitcoin's performing better than ETH. This chart's moving up, ETH is performing better than Bitcoin. Real simple, right? Now I want to show you guys what happens when the tides shift, right? Like when the wind shifts and you're not swimming upstream anymore. You're sitting in an inner tube and the current's just taking you downstream. All right. So let's mark out a couple different things here. Let's mark out the real shift in the ETH BTC pair. Okay. So we'll say it was, in 2017, it was right here. I hope you could, let's make it a little different color. I hope that you guys can see it. You should be able to see that. There's a red dot down there. Okay. That's when the wind and the tides really shifted. Okay. So let's go out and we'll mark that on every single chart, right? Where was that here? That was here, December 2016. And then additionally, it was right here for Bitcoin. So I've marked out corresponding red dots. The dates are perfect. I promise you. You can see the crosshairs. They're the exact same, right? Look at the crosshairs on every chart. The red dot is when ETH BTC began to aggressively move up. All right. Now we're going to do that again for the next cycle, right? When did ETH BTC really start to aggressively move up? I would say it was a little choppy, but I would say it was somewhere right around here. Okay. So here we go for this, and then this is ETH USD up here, and then this is Bitcoin USD. So just ETH Bitcoin and then ETH BTC. All right. Now, what do we notice about this as well? If we draw the all-time highs for Bitcoin, you can see roughly where in Bitcoin's cycle we saw those winds begin to change, where Bitcoin took a back seat to Ethereum. What do we notice? All the red dots are Bitcoin chopping under the previous cycle all-time high. And at that very same point, here we'll draw them out on Ethereum as well. Why not? We'll see where Ethereum was in terms of its cycle.
Dude, this is fire. Like, I hope people see this. Like, this is dope. I didn't notice this. That's why I come here and I asked Max. I'm like, bro, I really want to position my portfolio right. Let's go over some charts so I can make a better decision on how to manage my money. Like, this stuff is fire. Keep
That's
going,
the
bro.
beauty of this space is we get to collaborate and learn and talk with each other. And you and I would have no way of ever doing that because we don't live in the same area unless we're neighbors and don't even know it, right? But that's the beauty of what we do, right? Is we get to come together and teach each other, help make money. So as you can see here, there's some pivot points on the chart, right? ETH BTC, big pivot here in 2017 marked out by a red dot. I've got that corresponding dot on the Bitcoin chart, and I've got it here on the ETH chart. Okay. Same here for 2016. Again, just drawing some arrows just so nobody misses it. You can see this is when things really started to go wild. In my opinion, I agree with Crash. The bottom on this ETH BTC pair is in, barring the SEC coming out and basically walking back the approval, the spot ETFs being able to trade in the US. Things should be totally fine. All right. So let's take some measured moves, right? Because we want to talk about, Crash is talking about your altcoins performing well despite kind of swimming upstream from a higher time frame, like cyclical perspective. His Brett position, for example, He's got like $10 million sitting right there. Those gains, and I guess that unrealized P&L right now has manifested and come to fruition while technically Ethereum, which presumably people are bridging over to base and then swapping into something like Brett, has actually not been performing well. So for him to be able to position himself with a $10 million bag in something like a Brett, while Ethereum is performing suboptimally against Bitcoin, which by the way, it always does, and I'm going to continue this example here, is incredible because when the tides do shift, it becomes a lot easier, right? Like you think you're up a lot and then you get ETH season and you actually realize what that means. But let's take some measured moves here, right? Let's take some calculated measured moves. So let's take some from the bottom here. You can see ETH BTC went up. Let me figure out how to drag this here. And actually, let me just do this here. For ETH BTC, we're just going to do this, okay? We're just going to do this. This is when ETH BTC went crazy, and I'll take measured moves over here for the actual US dollar pair. So right when the tides shifted, right at these red dots, again, so December of 2016, when ETH BTC put in its global bottom, ETH USD, so just normal ETH, and I'll actually just make it look a little bit prettier just because I need to do it for myself, went up plus 24,000%. All right, and we'll put that in the top, put that in the center, and we'll do big
While
text.
you do that, I just want to ask everyone that, like, if you're enjoying the stream, it takes 2 seconds to drop a like. Look at Max, for example, by the way. Make sure you subscribe to him on YouTube because really no one's doing it like him with the charts. Like, no one can break it down, like, what are very hard to see things and make them really easy to see for everyone, right? So make sure you subscribe to Max's channel and just make sure you drop a like, whether that's on Max's stream, my stream, or on X. It just takes 2 seconds, guys. And the more people will be able to learn and see the stuff, it's really cool. I feel like we're a very small group right now. Like, okay, 2,000 people are watching on my stream on YouTube right now, and 13,000 are watching it on X. That's like 15,000 people out of like millions and millions and millions of people. But ultimately, like, we have a chance to win very hard amongst, my viewers, Max's viewers, because we'll see the market differently. We'll see things from our own perspective that most of the participants out there in the world, the millions of people, they're not studying this shit. They're not looking at this stuff. So we're going to have a massive edge over the 99% because we're looking at this stuff. So, winning culture, bro, like we're winning now. And then obviously we're going to win a lot harder this cycle. So just like it. Just fucking like the stream, bro.
Just do it. Well, thanks, Crash. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the love. Crash is too nice to me, guys. It's I always tell him that. It's way too kind. But anyways, this is what Crash is illustrating right here, guys. So we were talking about ETH BTC, right? When this pair, Ethereum against Bitcoin, puts in its global cyclical bottom marked by these red dots, and again, I have them corresponding the dates perfectly here on Bitcoin and for ETH. Let's take a look at what happens to the performance of Bitcoin versus Ethereum, okay? From when ETH BTC in the previous two cycles managed to put in its global bottom and its global reversal, and like the winds really shifted, okay? It's these green boxes here. Ethereum went up 24,000%. In 2017, and Bitcoin went up 2,250%. So Ethereum outperformed Bitcoin by like 10x. All right. Now over here in the previous cycle, 2021 or 2020 through 2021, Bitcoin went up 300% from ETH BTC put in this definitive pivot before dramatic outperformance, and then ETH USD went up 1,000%. So this is what Crash was showing you guys, just visualized a little bit different for people that need to actually see it drawn like me in order for it to make sense. When this global pivot happens, if this is the pivot and ETH BTC has put in its global bottom and like we're about to start moving up, just like we did here in 2017 or here in 2020 and 2021, what you could expect is dramatic and pronounced outperformance from Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Very similar to what we saw in the previous two cycles. Now, why does that matter? Because when ETH goes up, that's when your altcoins really start to perform, right? Like you may feel like you're up a lot and your altcoins are just going crazy and oh my gosh, I'm so anxious, like this number's big, I need to take profit. that's fine, right? Like if you've made life-changing money and you need that money, then go change your life. Like there's no shame in that. But if you're sitting on money that you don't need to live your life, there's a probabilities aspect to all of this where you say, yeah, it's never the same and it's never guaranteed, but the likelihood that we get some sort of dramatic Ethereum outperformance versus Bitcoin in the coming weeks and months, in my opinion, is probably above 60 or 70%, and that's being conservative. It would be, in my opinion, silly to cheat yourself of the opportunity to be a beneficiary of true alt season where you see this happen in real time, where you're going to see, ETH BTC, let's just say, do this, right? And, maybe go on to make a new high. And in point, what would happen there is you're probably going to see ETH go up to like, 10 to 14K, and you'll see Bitcoin go to like 150K. So from a percentage basis, like what's the performance like? In my opinion, ETH is poised at least for a 300% move from the recent local low of 3,000. And, Bitcoin, let's just say even conservatively like 150%, right? Think about that. Bitcoin only has to go up 150% for it to go basically from its last local low of like 57 all the way up to 150K. Like that's not that much higher than the previous cycle all-time high. Even if Bitcoin went on to pull a 2x from the previous cycle all-time high, which is like severely diminished returns compared to previous cycles, which, by the way, I do subscribe to the belief that we get diminished volatility to the downside. Subsequently, on the other side of that coin, no pun intended, we get bull markets that are a little bit more muted. Bitcoin even pulling a 2x above the previous cycle all-time high would take it to about 140K, right? A little bit higher. So it's like, or actually a little bit lower, but it's like you haven't seen the makings of alt season yet. And if we want to talk about like alt season, right? We can talk about alt season and Crash. You pulled up Say. Maybe this is a good point for us to transition into talking about some other majors, just to show like what happened last cycle. Really during like alt season when ETH and Bitcoin really went crazy. Because let me actually swap this chart out here. Let's put Sol on from last cycle, right? We'll do a little bit of hindsight analysis. This is what happened last cycle when the ETH BTC pair bottom. Let's mark out the red dot here on Sol last cycle. So here's your red dot. Let's take a look at it. Solana, which was a hot new L1. Obviously, it's not quite, like it. Solana is not quite as built out. It wasn't as built out as in here as it is today. But Solana went up last cycle plus 18,000%. Okay. So during the same period last cycle, right here, when ETH started to outperform, and here I'll zoom out a little bit. When ETH BTC put in its bottom, its red dot, its global bottom, right? You can see right here. We'll zoom in a little bit more. Nobody can miss it, right? When ETH BTC put in this red dot, look at what happened to Solana last cycle. ETH went up, 10x. Solana went up significantly more, right? Look at this. So you can see the kind of impact that Ethereum outperformance against Bitcoin has on things, like a Solana. Or in my opinion, you could potentially see that this cycle with something like Say, which I own a little bit of. Like I'm not super excited about it, but this is the example, guys. Like ETH BTC puts in a definitive bottom and goes on to outperform. Look at what happens, right? ETH does really well, but some of your new hot fresh L1s do even better. And by the way, I think Caspa is probably poised to be one of those premier L1s. I think Crash and I
I
probably
think
agree on that.
it is the best layer one pick for this bull run, at least based on the charts and the pairs, man. And that's a thing. Like it's all these layer ones, in my opinion, they're so extra. Like I don't think we need any of them. I think they're all pretty much, just not needed. But I just look at the charts, right? And me as someone who I have done basically no fundamental research on Caspa, and I really just don't give a shit about the fundamentals of it, to be honest. I literally just look at the freaking pair of Caspa over Bitcoin. And let me share my screen again, and I'll show everyone my position in Caspa right now. It's like, this is the funny thing, right? People, they have no idea that you could do this, right? So this position I have in Caspa at the moment, I put in 1.5 million. It's worth 2.2 million right now. I did not do any fucking research on Caspa. Okay, I didn't look at the blockchain. I didn't look at the block speed, the timing, the fucking none of that, bro. I just said this chart looks good. I'm gonna put in a big position on it because the charts tell me that this thing is gonna outperform Ethereum. This thing is gonna outperform Bitcoin. And look at that. It is.
And
so
guys,
that's
he's
the
charting
crazy
this
thing.
against Ethereum, right? So if this chart's going up, that means that Caspa's outperforming Ethereum. This isn't like against the dollar. This is what's performing better, Caspa or ETH, which is really
Exactly.
strange.
And so when this chart is up and to the right, that means Caspa is outperforming Ethereum. If this chart is going down and to the right, it means it's underperforming Ethereum, right? And so that's the funny thing, man. I did no fundamental research. I just fucking went into Caspa because I knew I was bullish on this chart over ETH, right? And I think this thing is gonna rip this cycle versus ETH. And so what that means is like if ETH goes up 3x, right? If it goes from 3,500 to around 11K. So if ETH goes up 3x, but this chart goes up 223% versus ETH, right? And I'm right, this chart rises versus ETH. Does that mean that Caspa would do a 6x or a 9x? I'm not good at math when it's a 200% gain versus ETH, right?
So that would be a 3x. So that would be if ETH doubles, then it'd be 2x times 3x. So it'd be basically a 6x. So if
Okay,
ETH
see,
pulls a 2x, Caspa would pull a 6x if it goes there.
yeah. So that's the thing, right? So I know, okay, ETH will probably do a 3x, and then this chart will go up versus ETH. It'll outperform ETH, meaning this is going to give me more X's than ETH. That's why I don't hold ETH, bro. I don't. Like, I hold some, but not much, right? And where I much rather put my money in is in Caspa or in Litecoin, because I personally believe that those two pairs are going to outperform Ethereum. So I'm not going to hold Ethereum if I think other things are going to outperform it. Now that's the cool thing, right? Because I think Ethereum is going to $11,000, right? If Ethereum goes to $11,000, but I can hold things that are going to outperform Ethereum, I'm going to make more than a 3x. So, anyways, I'm confident that Caspa is going to do better than ETH, and I'm confident that ETH is going to go up 3x from here. So once again, I know I'm probably going to make a 6x minimum on Caspa, and then I look at something like Litecoin over Ethereum, and I'm really bullish on this chart too. It's taken a second to load here, but why? Well, to me, looks like a double bottom. To me, it looks like something which has been in a downtrend, which has been underperforming ETH for a long time. And this is the thing, is you have periods where you outperform, you have periods where you underperform. And so Litecoin has been underperforming ETH for a while. And so this is a very contrarian bet, right? Like it's not in an uptrend. It's actually a very different thing where, when you look at that Caspa versus ETH chart, it's up and to the right, right?
Mm-hmm.
On when you zoom out. When you look at Litecoin versus ETH, it's actually down and to the right. So this means that, yeah, holding Ethereum, you have outperformed Litecoin the last 5 years, right? That's what this downtrend is. Litecoin's been underperforming. Caspa has been outperforming. But I'm taking a very contrarian bet here, and I believe that this is the bottom for Litecoin versus Ethereum, at least in the short to medium term, right? And then basically I'm betting that the trend will shift, hopefully, and then I can actually outperform ETH. And so it's like I look at the signals here, which are bullish divergence as we're coming lower, right? A major downtrend. A lot of people have given up on Litecoin. They think it's dead, useless, bullshit, which are great signs I love to see when calling a bottom. Like in Bitcoin, everyone says it's trash, it's going lower. That's what everyone's saying about this pair right now too, right? So when I see those common characteristics, which happen to happen at bottoms, right? Once again, everyone calls it trash, useless. Why hold that crap? Why buy Bitcoin at 16K? Haven't you heard it's going to 10K and below, right? So that's the thing. Same thing with Litecoin. It's like everyone's like, well, why buy that trash? This thing underperforms, is not doing well. And so it's like, okay, I understand that. These are common signs of bottoms. And so I look at, once again, we saw the 2-day chart, you had bullish divergence. You look at the weekly chart, you have bullish divergence, and you have a double bottom. So, to me, these are the signs of a bottom, and I can only park some money there and, hope that I'm right, which I think I will be to some extent. It doesn't mean that Litecoin will outperform ETH forever and ever from here, but I feel very freaking confident that from this point forward, Litecoin will outperform ETH. And once again, if if Ethereum goes up 3x, and I know that Litecoin outperforms it, well, it really depends how high does Litecoin over ETH go. You know, obviously, if it goes up here, that means, well, ETH does like a 3x maybe. Well, no, actually, I just pulled that out to like 2030. But let's say in the next 2 years, right, this pair got back up to this level right here. So once again, I have the chance to outperform ETH by 240%. And if ETH goes up 3x, then I'm making like what, 7, 9x or something like that over there.
And Crash,
So anyways,
historically speaking, based on previous trends, Litecoin's window of dramatic outperformance against other majors like Bitcoin and ETH has come when Bitcoin finally goes into price discovery. Like, it usually just is a sitting duck, and then it goes crazy. Then it goes just nuts. So, I mean, based on previous trends, this would be the time for the pair to bottom, and it's interesting to see that lining up with a potential bullish divergence, kind of at this capitulatory bottom. It's interesting to see.
yeah, I mean, we analyzed it on our last live stream together, how Litecoin typically starts to take off versus Bitcoin, like what, 60 to 90 days after the halving. Well, we're about to be at like 60 to 90 days after the halving, aren't we? So when I know that information combined with the bullish divergence, combined with everyone says Litecoin is trash and not worth buying, these are all incredible signs that point to, me being right, me winning. So yeah, that's the way I look at it. It's pretty cool, actually. I have a contrarian bet, and then I have a bet that is not contrarian. It's actually just factually outperforming the shit out of Ethereum, right? So I really do feel like I have a good combination with Litecoin as my safe bet, Caspa as my, major outperforming bet. Both can outperform. But man, I've been considering actually selling some of my Litecoin and buying more Caspa because this chart is just so freaking bullish,
Well,
right?
why don't you chart
This one,
Litecoin against Caspa, and let's take a look at
I
it.
mean, we can, but I remember we had a stream, the other month, man, and I was like, I'm not going to bet on this going lower, and well, it is so far
Well, see,
for
that's
now.
the thing is if this pair doesn't break down right here and you get back above that horizontal line at like 742, it looks like, if you get back above that, then the bottom on this pair might be in. But I would say until then, it's a little bit sketchy.
Yeah, no, right now it's not looking so hot for Litecoin paired versus Caspa, right? And so that means what? That I'm very likely better off putting my money into Caspa right now instead of Litecoin, right? So I may love Litecoin. I may think it's the most undervalued bet in the market, but the reality is that, dude, it's probably coming back down to this level down here, right? Before a potential bottom. And so that means if I hold Litecoin right now, I'm probably going to underperform Caspa by about 27%, is what I'm anticipating right now. And so I sit there with genuine concern thinking, well, man, maybe I should sell some of my Litecoin and chuck it into Caspa for the time being. Because based on the charts, despite my love for Litecoin, okay, the charts tell me that Caspa is probably going to outperform Litecoin right now, right? So I have to set aside my emotions. If I want to make the most money for myself, my future, my family, if I want to buy the most houses and the most cool shit in the future, then, well, fuck what I feel, fuck my love for Litecoin and how undervalued I think it is. It's just a fact that in the short term, at least, I think Caspa is going to outperform Litecoin, which means I will make many millions more if I hold Caspa over Litecoin right now. See? So once again, fuck my feelings. I'm going based off the charts. Guys, I like Litecoin, right? I like it way more than Caspa. But despite me liking Litecoin more, Caspa, based on the charts, looks like a better bet. So that's it, man. Fuck what I feel.
It's just data, bro. It's just emotions. It's like people get emotional about their bags, and you were talking earlier about kind of the meme coin community or the meme coin genre of investing, and it breeds and it brings a lot of emotion out of people, which can be a good thing, but also if it's not channeled appropriately, it can be a little bit destructive at times or over the top. But at the end of the day, right, the only thing that really doesn't lie is the data and the chart. So when you look at a pair like this, somebody out there might be a Litecoin maxi and they're like, punching the air right now because Crash just said that, Caspa, the new kid on the block, who's, better and faster and going to have KRC 20s and, whatever. I know you don't care about the fundamentals, but, I think it helps some investors really digest it and, feel comfortable backing it to have strong fundamentals and confluence with technicals. There might be a Litecoin maxi out there who's been holding the bag for a long time and is just upset to see that, this chart is looking the way that it is. And the truth of the matter is too, like, there's nothing more expensive than an ego. Like, if you think that you're smarter than the market or that the market should do what you want it to do, it is a absolute 100% guarantee and a certainty that you are not going to come out a winner in these markets. Like, I always say this to my community, and Crash, I'm sure you subscribe to similar beliefs in these markets, is you need to just submit to the market wholeheartedly and position yourself accordingly, listen and look for the signs, and view it like you're sitting in an inner tube and you're going down river, right? You don't want to be going down river, trying to swim side to side or swim against the current, say, no, the river should flow this way. And I think it should do this. The most enjoyable way to go about it is to hop in your inner tube, grab a beer, put your sunglasses on, and just let the river take you where it's going to. And when you want to hop off, then you hop off. Right? You don't need to look at the chart and be like, well, I want the chart to do this, therefore it has to do this. And somebody said that, the chart's going to do this, and it made me very angry. You're looking at it all wrong, right? Like, you got to put your emotions out the side. You have to just submit to the market. If the market is looking terrible, then it's looking terrible. And what you do is totally up to you. You are not in control of it, no matter how much you want it. You have to submit to it wholeheartedly. So when you look at that Litecoin Caspa chart, submit to
dude,
it.
I don't know why I don't like the whole submitting to the market, because I'm trying to submit the fucking market. Like, I'm not trying to submit to anyone. I'm trying to submit the market. I'm trying to knock out the market. That's why my name's Crashes Clay. I'm trying to knock out this motherfucking market, whether it goes up or down. I'm trying to make money. So we have different terminology of like how we see that. But ultimately, what you're saying though is like, right, like, just don't fight the market, just work with it, and ultimately, like, I want to make the most money possible. I want to do as good as I can. And so for me, like, if I love something so much, but charts tell me it's probably going to underperform, then like I said, I'm just going to go where I'm going to make the most money. Right. And so, yeah, I probably am going to sell some of my Litecoin to buy a little bit of a bigger position in a Caspa here.
Well, I
And
think we're saying the same thing then, right? So if you're looking, go back to that Litecoin Caspa chart for a second.
yeah.
Right. So you're saying, hey, I'm looking at this chart. I've got a Litecoin position and I was hoping that this pair would move up, but I recognize that it's not looking so bright. I should maybe rotate, right? That's all I'm saying, is that you're not going to fight a trend. You're not going to fight the data, but it sounds like in your version, right? Like, submitting the market is just like
dominating
riding
it,
the
like
trend,
just
right?
winning,
Yeah,
bro.
winning.
Just like making sure, but like, exactly.
But you're not going to sit out there and start market ordering into Litecoin to try to prop this pair up when it's clearly not going to happen, right? And that's
exactly. It's like, man, do I want to stick to a view that is incorrect, or do I want to make millions of dollars more? And the answer to me is I want to make millions more. And if that means I have to switch my stance, then I will. Right. And so, here the way I saw it was like, okay, Litecoin versus Caspa. You have a double bottom and you have a higher low on the RSI. Basically, the strength of Litecoin has went up as the prices went lower. And that's a very bullish pattern a lot of times. And so we did bounce from there, and then it's starting to underperform again. And well, it's probably going to come back down to this level at the very least. If not, maybe even connect these lows, it comes down to there, right? So anyways, I understand if I have, a multi-million-dollar position on Litecoin, it's probably best that I rotate some of that out into Caspa, a better performing thing than Litecoin at the moment, right? So yeah, anyways, man, it just comes down to wanting to make the most money, right? And that's all, man. I'm just gonna do what's gonna make me the most. And I think right now I gotta sell some of my Litecoin, if I want to make more money, and I need to put in the Caspa based on this chart, based on the things I'm looking at. At the same time, I still feel very good with my Litecoin position, right? Like, I still feel, and based on the charts and what we've analyzed too in your previous live stream and stuff, like, I think Litecoin is a very good bet, at $80. I'm sure it'll be above, 200 again, 300 again. Like, I have no doubt I'm going to make money. It's just that I'm probably going to make more money with Caspa, at least in the short term. Now, once again, go back to this pair, and I may actually be in Caspa for like the next 3 to 6 months, for example, and then I may actually shift back into Litecoin based on the pair, based on the chart, right? And so, man, like, some people, you get it, what we're saying about shifting between these pairs. Like, okay, let's say this pair drops down to here, another 34%, right? Meaning, Litecoin's underperforming my Caspa, but then it gets down to the support, and then there's more bullish divergence, right? Look right here, right? The RSI could be higher yet again. And to me, that's a very good pattern that I'm going to want to bet a little heavier on again. So once we get down to here, I would rotate some of my Caspa back into Litecoin at that point, probably, right? And be favoring Litecoin now because of the pair and where it's at. So anyways, super long-winded. I know for a lot of you guys, you don't hold positions maybe in Casper Litecoin. So when we talk about this stuff, you're probably just like, oh, I don't care, man. It's not my position. It's not what I hold. And you don't care. But ultimately, it's the principles of how you look at these charts to know what to hold and what not to hold. Can I go over something here, which was Brett over Doge USDT? I sent you this tweet, man. I'm not going to pull it up right now, but basically this pair.
I remember the tweet. We could remake it pretty quickly.
Okay, yeah, you want to make it because basically, yeah, that's
you
what
want me
we're
to make
trying
it,
to
or
do.
you want to do it? Up to you.
Yeah, you make it. You make it. You're way better at that than me.
All right, I just had this pull up. This is real quick where I think Caspa's going. This Fractals.
Oh, bro, yes. Please show me that chart. Like, that chart gets me excited.
Yeah, I've been tracking this Fractal since we were like over here, back in Q1, and it's just, I mean, what are we even talking about? But let's pull up. We'll do a little bit of meme coin stuff now, man. It's a meme coin super cycle, right? Everybody wants us to talk about memes. So you wanted to look at the Brett Doge pair and then Pepe Doge. I think that's the one you were talking about.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Like I told you guys earlier in the stream, I rely on patterns, right, more than anything. So when I
Real
spot
quick,
patterns,
Crash, which exchange has the most price history for Brett? Do you know off the top of your head?
I would
feel like I
say
remember it being CoinX, but I don't remember for sure.
probably CoinX.
Okay. All right. And then we'll do Pepe USD versus Doge USD.
So, yeah, and this is the thing, man. Like, obviously, people in meme coins, they don't really look at these pairs. They don't see these patterns. And so when we see them, like, we just have a massive edge over everyone else, Like, this shit's pretty amazing, dude. For everyone watching right now, if you don't get it, what's unfolding in front of your eyes. So on the right is Pepe paired versus Doge, meaning, once again, if Pepe over Doge, if it's going up and to the right, that means Pepe's outperforming Doge. If it's going down and to the right, that means it's underperforming Doge. You'd be better off to hold Doge. And so you're going to notice this same pattern that Pepe had over Doge happened on Brett. Like, it was happening exactly. And I made this tweet weeks ago. And what do you know? Brett pumped absolutely, just insanely versus Doge. And so, when you see these patterns playing out, and you see them playing out early on, you can bet big on that. And that's how you make huge money, in my opinion, is patterns and just betting big on them early. So obviously it's already played out now. But earlier, when this hadn't played out, right? If you spotted this pattern and how similar it was, you have a huge edge. And that's what this is, man, is getting an edge over everyone else, seeing what everyone else doesn't see, because that's how you make real money, man, is whether you understand something before others, whether you see something before others, and you understand the potential of something while others are sitting there clueless saying, oh, I'm going to sell for 2x, or I'm going to sell the bottom, because they don't have the edge. They don't see the pattern. They don't see what's actually playing out in front of them, right? So yeah, this was really dope. And you can just see how the left chart and the right chart, they're the exact same basically. And the pattern played out exactly for Brett as it did for Pepe over Doge. So yeah, that shit's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Pepe is the benchmark for meme assets this cycle. I think we can all agree on that. Like there's been some memes that have performed really well, but you shouldn't really hold any memes unless it's at least trading at parity, if not outperforming that, or has the potential to outperform Pepe, right? Because Pepe, in my opinion, is kind of a soft toss, right? So it's actually and that extends further, right? Like what we're actually doing here is we're trading Brett on the left against Doge. Like Doge is the Bitcoin of memes, right? So for one, you need to outperform Doge. That goes without saying. But then beyond that, you want to outperform Pepe. So here's Pepe against Doge, and here's Brett against Doge, and you can see that these fibs actually play incredibly well. And right, we could even extend this analysis further and do, how's Brett doing against Pepe, right? How's it trading? And I could tell you it's probably going to be trading pretty cleanly. Like the technicals will probably trade very, very cleanly, where you're actually going to see something like Brett not only keeping up with Pepe, but ideally outperforming and trading cleanly and respecting levels, right? You don't need Brett to outperform Pepe by 50x, right? But even if something like Brett could outperform Pepe by 1.5x or 2x, and Pepe goes to 50 billion. I mean, that's pretty incredible, right? When you start to talk about these pair trades and the magnitudes of a potential move, that's where understanding rotations and how these levels play can really, really make you some serious money if you can understand how to time them. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And so once again, because like that's the thing, right? When you're looking at this stuff, you have a choice. Do I hold Brett or do I hold Pepe? Do I go all into Pepe or do I go all into Brett? And how do you actually determine what's going to perform better? One of the best ways you can do that is looking at the chart, looking at the pair. And so you can see here, Brett has had two waves where if you held Brett, you outperform the shit out of Pepe, right? So we had that first wave outperform Pepe by a ridiculous amount. We just had this second wave right now outperform Pepe by a ridiculous amount. And so what's going to happen if we break out of this range, right, to the upside in that pair? Well, what do you know? That means Brett is going to be outperforming the shit out of Pepe, right? And so now you can watch that chart and you can look at those levels and you can be like, well, all right, when this breaks out of this range, Brett's going to be outperforming Pepe. Meaning if Pepe goes up 10x, then you can have confidence that Brett's going to go up 20x, 30x, right? It's going to outperform it. So,
well, let's do an example, right? So up top we have Brett again, just to show people how this works. We've got Brett up top, we've got Pepe down below. I'll sync up the time frames. And this doesn't even, because Brett's so young compared to Pepe. We'll start it right over here. Let's actually see what happened, right? So here's Brett. And I don't have all of the price history. We're not on like Deck Screener or whatever.
yeah.
But you can get the point just by looking at this right here. When we're talking about this performance, right? For one, Brett should perform better than Pepe because it's younger. It's a smaller market cap, right? It's also on a fresh hot chain like base, so it should outperform it, right? Like if it's not outperforming it, then it's not doing its job, right? So what we can see right here, let's mark out red dots like we did before, right? So we can see when Brett outperformed Pepe, and we'll line up the dates, right? There we go. And then more recently, Brett Pepe, right here and right here. So kind of a little interesting pattern that I'm noticing is that Brett begins to really outperform Pepe kind of after it's done with its move. So like looking at this right here, you can see that Pepe, kind of goes crazy, right? And I don't have the price history here for Brett Pepe, but you can see that, as Pepe was kind of in like this little cool off period or, distribution and moving sideways like this, at that very same time, you can see Brett actually went crazy, right? Like it dramatically outperformed that of Pepe. So it's kind of interesting. It might be worth keeping an eye on that through the rest of this cycle and just saying, oh, when Pepe starts moving, there's a small lag. And then people start rotating into something smaller like a Brett. And then you get that crazy outperformance when Pepe finally cools off, right? And it looks like we saw the same thing kind of over here where, again, Pepe went crazy, right? And Brett was bleeding against Pepe for a short period of time. And then look what happened here. Brett Pepe just recently went crazy. And Pepe, was cooling off, right? So, or is cooling off, still cooling off. And then, of course, Brett is moving up. This isn't like the prettiest example, but I feel like people should probably understand it enough that it's kind of interesting. It's happened twice, so we don't have like a ton of data, but interesting to see that Brett moves up aggressively when Pepe chills out, right? Very interesting.
Yeah, and so well, that's why people say, okay, Brett and Bobo, for example, are like the best beta to Pepe, right? So Pepe goes up, 3x, and then all of a sudden you see Brett and Bobo rip up 10x, 20x, and that's what ultimately you want, is to outperform Pepe if you can, right? And there's not many things that are going to be able to outperform Pepe. Brett is one of those things that is making new highs over the Pepe pair, right? Like when you look at that Brett versus Pepe chart, we made a new high there. We're making higher lows, we're making higher highs. Like it's over time so far, it just continues to outperform Pepe. So I expect that is going to continue throughout this cycle. Basically, Pepe charges up, and a lot of people are either taking profits out of Pepe and rolling it into Brett, or maybe because adoption on base chain is growing and more people are going to base and they're buying Brett. Like whatever the reasons are, it's all in the charts. And basically, if I can just have confidence that Brett is going to outperform Pepe, and I think Pepe is going to like 60 billion market cap, that's another 10x for Pepe. So Brett outperforms the 10x, right? And that's the thing. Brett has been outperforming, and it typically starts to happen after Pepe moves up, right? So if Pepe goes up 10x and then bam, Brett starts to like snap on, obviously it'll happen before Pepe pulls a 10x, right? I just know that when Pepe does 10x, Brett's probably going to do a 20x, and that's the way I look at it. So, anyways, man,
Yeah,
just
it's an
looking at those
interesting
pairs to have
discussion about
confidence, man.
what's that?
It's just looking at these pairs to have confidence, right? And like knowing that, okay, Brett's outperforming Pepe. Pepe goes up 10x. My Brett has to go up more than 10x then. It's easy.
Yeah, and this is a pair I'm really focused on. Like talking about like Pepe is your benchmark. You need to outperform. Obviously, I'm very invested in a project called Andy, which is from the comic series Matt Fury's Creation Boys Club. So it's the spin-off. It's a derivative of Pepe. It's a playoff of that. Similarly to
Well, dude,
Brett
I'm gonna
and
say
Bobo and
that I'm sorry, but Andy, whether people realize or not, Andy is not a derivative of Pepe. He's just not as popular of a character at the moment. Okay, they're all equal, like they're all main characters within that series. So what's really a derivative is SHIB is a derivative of Doge. But the way I see it, yeah, you could say Andy is a derivative of Pepe, but like on paper, in popularity, you can say it's a derivative, but actually, like from the comic series, because here's the thing, there's nothing stopping Andy from becoming a more popular character than Pepe. If for some reason the world decided we fucking love Andy way more, and like someone started building out his character and building out the use of his character, and it was featured in more, videos and shit. So actually, okay, obviously Andy is not as big of a character as Pepe, but there is like objective potential where once again, if people started building out the character, he could be bigger than Pepe. So then if there is a world where you can say Pepe is actually a derivative of Andy if Andy became more popular. So that's all I'm going to say on that. But no, you are overall right that yeah, okay, it is a derivative. But here's the thing, man. Some people say Brett is a derivative of Pepe, when once again, when Matt Fury started the comic series, he literally, you can go watch the video on the Brett website. He says, yeah, so I started off the comic series and I drew Brett and Pepe, right? That's what he says. The first two characters he drew were Brett and Pepe. So they're both main characters. It's just that Pepe has become more popular to this point. But anyways, there's
and
a
I think
real
the
chance.
I think the derivative is kind of used loosely, and I'm guilty of that, truthfully, because it's just easier to explain. Like if you think about the word derivative, it means to derive from, right? Like Andy did not derive from Pepe. Like my son is a derivative of me, like he comes from like me, right? He's a derivative of me.
Yeah.
Andy and Pepe and Brett, and like the whole boys club narrative, They all derive, they're all derivatives of Matt Fury's creation. They all derive from their
Yep.
creator. So it's actually none of them are like derivatives of each other. That's just kind of how I talk about them in terms of financial markets, because it's easier than trying to layer on like the intricacies of it. It's easier just to for people to understand really quickly. Yeah, there's a correlation here, and here's why.
But here's the thing, and this is the reason I don't really love calling them derivatives personally. It's because, yeah, Pepe may be more popular, but like you said, if you have a son, he is a derivative of you. But the thing is, all four of these characters are equal derivatives as characters of Matt Fury and his creation. They're all equal from that standpoint. Like, so once again, yeah, you can sit here and people can say Pepe is the most popular, Pepe is the biggest. And yeah, he is right now. But man, you can't control the future if Andy all of a sudden became a more popular character than Pepe. And it's, is it likely? No. But once again, they're same level like characters. So that just actually gets you more bullish on the upside of these things, right? Because like once again, like think about this, bro. Doge hit 80 billion, SHIB as a legitimate derivative hit 40 billion. So that's the thing about Andy is like it's bro. I don't know. Like, am I repeating myself in a stupid way? Like, it's not in exactly a derivative. It's more bullish than SHIB was to Doge. Is the way I see
There's
it.
certainly more of a tie to, like this whole meme narrative than SHIB, man. I don't know. I mean, I think for me, like what Doge and SHIB did, they kind of pioneered a realm of possibilities and kind of opened up a timeline to what is possible for memes to do in terms of crypto performance. They 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 deserve all the credit in the world for that. But um, I besides really kind of setting that ceiling for what is possible and paving that path forward, I think the hottest memes on the market are, it's evolving and they're straying away kind of from those two major titans. And it's not to diminish what they did or even say that they won't perform well, because I don't know. And actually think Doge will do well. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a clear narrative at work, here. And it's pretty exciting, because I think that we're really early, right? Like we were talking earlier about how, some of these assets, just to name a few, right? We looked at ETH to start, and we talked about Caspa, and we talked about Brett, and I mentioned Andy, you mentioned Bobo, right? Like they're not derivatives, right? But they're in their truest sense, they're Ethereum beta, right? Where they derive from, who cares? They're largely Ethereum beta, right? ETH needs to perform well in order for these assets to do well, regardless of what they're called, who created them, where they derive from. It's all second to me. It doesn't matter. I look at the chart, right? But to see some of the performance and tremendous outperformance of these assets, of Caspa, of Bobo, of Brett, of Andy, like just to name a few, it's like, we haven't even seen ETH season yet, right? So the market's still relatively PvP. When ETH starts to move, we'll see which ones end up really performing well, right? I always say, like, let the market decide. Position yourself in pairs that, in my opinion, look strong, right? Like for me, my goal for Andy would be, and my hopes and dreams for Andy would be that it can at least, outperform Pepe. It should outperform Pepe tremendously. It's younger. It's younger, it's less liquid, lower float, right? It's got every reason in the world to outperform. You know, it's higher risk than Pepe because it's younger, because it's smaller market cap. It should outperform. Just like Brett at this phase, Brett should outperform Pepe, right? So it's like I look at this chart and I go, all right, this is Andy Pepe, right?
Well, the reality is these
Moving
pairs will
down.
outperform harder the further we get into the cycle and into that ETH BTC pair
Yes,
outperforming,
correct.
because money
That gap
trickles down in
closes.
a ladder in a sequence, right? So it starts with the higher market cap coins. And as that money rotates into the smaller market cap coins, that's when they really pull the multiples, because it takes less money to move a lower market cap coin. So that's where actually, if these things are outperforming now or even close to outperforming, they're going to have their time where they're going to just dramatically outperform later on. Once again, as that ETH BTC pair starts to outperform and money trickles down the ladder,
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, here I could even like let's do this example real quick. Like this is one of my favorite things to look at. I can try to whip this up really quickly, but in order for all of our assets to do well, right, all of our memes, you need Ethereum to do well. And in order, and once that happens, what you're presumably going to see, or what you have seen historically, is you've actually seen Doge perform extremely well. So I want to just highlight a little example here, for when Doge really begins to perform well. And you can, in this example, you could just view Doge as like, Doge is your like giga risk on signal. Okay. Like when Doge goes crazy, historically speaking, it has happened kind of at the end of a cycle, which is not a bad thing, right? It's like that's when mania happens. Okay. It's the very end of a cycle. So let's fit this on here. And then, we can throw on some of the newer stuff too, as well. Like let's throw on Brett USD. We'll do CoinX again. That's fine. Looked like we had a decent bit of price history, and you can see, I mean, how young how young these assets are. The fresh ones, which is just incredible. And then I'm gonna throw up Pepe USD as well, and then I'm gonna throw up Andy. We'll do Mexi. That's fine. Actually, let me do a different one, just because it's so damn young. Here we go. So let's throw these all in candles, and we'll do a quick little example, just on how crazy things can get, and like what you should really be looking out for, from a timing perspective, right? Because like we've talked about, like we're still so early in this cycle that people are thinking about like selling right now. I'm literally just thinking like, how can I buy more stuff? I'm out of money. Uh, I need to get to alt season. Existing pain above.
Yeah, bro. Like I made a tweet today saying like, if you're not already all into the market, like this is gonna be we're nearing the end where you can actually go all into the market, because the higher we go, the more the risk is. The best time to go all in the market was when Bitcoin was at 16K. Really, it's like the higher you go, like you don't want to go all in above 150K anymore. You can't, man. Like it's because I don't know. I mean, it really depends how high we go, but the time to be going all in is like you're gonna have a window of time where you can go all in, bro, in this market, because the entire sector is gonna rise. The entire crypto industry is gonna rise, right? If we're at like 2.7 trillion a day, we're gonna be above 9 trillion. Like, if you can find a moment, like just make sure you're in, bro. Because like I see way too many, broke bears. They're like, "Oh, I'm waiting for like a 4% pullback before I dip my toes into the fucking water." It's like, oh my god, like it's just crazy because they say it's immature or irresponsible to be all in, and I disagree. I think it's immature and irresponsible to not be all in. When you understand these charts and where this fucking market is headed, in my opinion, they'll say, well, you can't know where the market's headed. You can't know how much higher these things are going to go. It's like, mm, I may not know exactly, but I can pretty fucking confidently say that Bitcoin is going to be above 150K in the coming years. So it's almost stupid because, like, well, I do know definitively the US dollar is going to lose value in the next couple of years. And when the dollar loses value and Bitcoin goes up in value because it's priced in dollars, like, no, like, you're stupid to be holding your cash. Like, you need to be all in on stuff that is going to go up priced in dollars. And that stuff is stuff like this, man. Well, Bitcoin first and then everything else after. And so then you look at these pairs to find out, all right, so we know Bitcoin is going to go up. Then what's going to outperform Bitcoin? Oh, Ethereum is. Okay, what's going to outperform Ethereum? Oh, Pepe is. Okay, what's going to outperform Pepe? Oh, Brett is. Oh, Andy might. And then so then you work your way down the ladder of basically looking at, okay, Bitcoin, what outperforms. Once again, you're going down and you're seeing what's going to outperform what, and that's how you make the most possible money. So if Bitcoin goes up 3x, Ethereum goes up, or let's say, because Bitcoin's already went up quite a bit from the bottom, right? So let's say Bitcoin from here goes up 3x, ETH goes up 4x, Pepe goes up 10x, Brett goes up 25x, Andy goes up 25x. Like, see how you go down that ladder of this will outperform that, right? Once again, ETH will outperform Bitcoin, Pepe will outperform ETH, Brett and Andy outperform Pepe. See, that's how you extract the most upside from this market, is by objectively looking at those pairs. And it starts with dollar goes down, Bitcoin price goes up, and then you go down the ladder, right? And you just pair, you look at the pairs to see what's going to outperform what, where are you going to extract the most X's from. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And this is just a quick little example on that of like, look at Doge last cycle, guys. Like, view Doge as your risk on barometer, right? View Doge as your risk on barometer. Okay. When Doge starts pumping, that's like when everything really giga sends. Okay. I circled it here. This is ETH USD up top. I labeled it ETH right here. This is ETH. I circled it. I put a red line through it. When Doge went on to basically go from a half of a penny all the way up to like 75 cents. I mean, 150x plus, right? In a very short period of time. That happened when ETH was basically right at its previous all-time high and above, right? And it happened in a very short period of time. From this point forward, Doge pulled 150x plus in like 4 months, give or take, a little bit over 4 months. Okay. So where are we at right now? We haven't even gotten up into this price discovery. Like, once ETH is up in here, that's when Doge goes crazy. That's when Pepe goes crazy. That's when Brett goes crazy. That's when Andy goes crazy. It's like everything that happens up until that red line when ETH is finally pressing up against its all-time high and about to go into price discovery, it's just noise, like that's truly how I view it, is like, it's literally just noise. We need ETH and price discovery. Look at the chart. It's just data. Like, you can't refute what the trigger was last cycle for, Doge and Risk doing tremendously well. It was clearly ETH going into price discovery set this domino in motion. Like, it set this thing into a mania, right? So we need to get up here. All we need is for ETH to stop being a cuck and get above 4,300, and we'll be golden, right? So it's like, that's why I keep advocating to everybody, like, look, there's no guarantee that ETH goes into price discovery. There's no guarantee that anything happens, right? Like, there's no guarantee. But from a probabilities perspective, why would you cheat yourself of the opportunity to be a participant in true altcoin mania, right? And let's add one more bit on right onto the bottom, okay? This is the first chart that we talked about. So if you've been here the entire stream, congratulations. Now you're seeing it come full circle, right? Here's Bitcoin dominance down below. Look at what happened last cycle. Dogecoin went crazy, ETH went crazy, and Bitcoin dominance nuked right as both of these were going crazy. That's what's about to happen this cycle, guys. Like, this is what you're on the brink of. All of these going up. Bitcoin dominance going down, right? But you're not there yet, right? But I'm telling you, as soon as ETH, it's better to position beforehand, because as soon as ETH gets above, 4,000, 4,200, 4,300, it doesn't really give you much time to position, right? Like, it happens quickly. It happens really quickly. But look at this chart. Like, this is what you need to look at, everybody. Like, this is it. Where's the ETH scale? Right here. Oops. Look at this scale. Like, this is as clear as day, in my opinion. Like, this is so crystal clear. When Doge went crazy and pulled out 150 or 200x, it's right here. It is right in this window when ETH starts ramping up to go into price discovery. You know what I mean? And Bitcoin dominance nukes. It's real simple, guys. So that's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm betting on. I want easy mode, and easy mode is when ETH is up in that circle, price discovery.
Well, once again, man, like, since we had that live stream together, right, my Andy position has turned from 15K and around 35K. I've more than doubled my money on that. But once again, I've more than doubled my money in suboptimal conditions before Bitcoin dominance rolls over. You wait and see what happens when the market is right. And so, like we always say, like, as of now, this is pre-game warm-up. And enjoy it while it lasts. Because there will be a time, maybe that's in a year or 2 or 3 from now, or 4, where we're going to be bearish, or we're going to say, all right, the move happened, guys. The time to make massive money, it happened. And see, right now we are before the time to make massive money. So we're sitting here talking, studying this shit. We're like, bro, the massive meat of this move is coming, and we're positioned before it. Now, once the move is over, we can't talk about this stuff anymore. We can't talk about how we anticipate so much more upside, because at that point, a lot of the upside will have taken place. We'll be taking profits. We'll be locking in gains into that mania, right? And so enjoy these freaking times while they last. I hope you guys get it when you watch it, because while many people out there, they have no idea like how this stuff connects. They don't know about Bitcoin dominance rolling over. They don't understand that it's been going up for the last, how many days? 620 days, bro. You know, um, and so these people, what they're going to do is they're going to buy into the hype. They're going to buy into the massive pumps. They're going to buy into Andy above 1 billion. They're going to buy into Brett above 40 billion. And these people are going to be the ones that ultimately lose money, because they're not here before the money flows into what we're holding. They're not here studying these damn charts, taking fucking hours to look at these things on a deeper level to see where's that money flow going to come from, how's that going to actually trigger, what levels does that actually happen, right? At what points in time does ETH BTC pair bottom? And as you can see, the ETH BTC pair from the previous charts, if you really remember it and you're wrapping your head around these charts that we're showing, which I understand it could be hard to maybe like a newbie to get it fully, but we're trying our best to make it as simple as possible. So the ETH BTC pair has bottomed every time as Bitcoin is coiling up around the previous all-time high. And so when I come out here and I say, I think the bottom in the ETH BTC pair is in, and it coincides with Bitcoin coiling up right under the all-time high, just like every other previous cycle, right? Like it's a massive edge. And because we're very aware of the timing, we're not guessing, we're not praying, we're not hoping like a lot of these people that will come in and buy our shit 30, 40x higher. Because these guys, they weren't looking at the ETH BTC pair. They weren't looking at the timing and how the ETH BTC pair bottoms as Bitcoin is coiling up around that all-time high. And then that's where the trajectory changes and where the money flow really favors. See, they're so unaware of that's why they're going to be the ones buying from us 30 to 40x higher. And their losses are going to become our gains today. All of us watching right now, if you get this, we're going to be the winners. And the people that FOMO in 30, 40x higher, they will be the losers. That is the reality of the game. And I'm confident in that. And, here's what I can tell you, right? They say it takes like 10,000 hours to reach mastery. Who's putting in the hours right now, the last 2-3 years of this bear market? Was it us, or is it the random people who download the Coinbase app during the bull market and buy the fucking top? It's us right now putting in the hours and looking at this stuff, right? So we have the hours, we have the time that these people don't. And so who's going to be the winners? The people with more experience, the people who took the time, or the people that came late, who came and just downloaded the app and bought the fucking top? See, that's what I'm saying. We see this, it's coming, and we're going to fucking kill it. But, rest in peace to the top buyers this cycle. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to feel bad for them, because there has to be someone who's going to buy the top for us to sell it to them at the top, So anyways, that's why we take the time to look at this stuff, man. I feel so prepared. I feel so ready. I feel so blessed to have a solid understanding and be positioned before the money flow actually shifts into our favor, man. And it's going to get amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's just so interesting overlaying these charts together. Like, look at this crash. Like, look at the 2017 cycle for Bitcoin versus where we're at now. Structurally looks the same. Bitcoin dominance, in my opinion, about to roll over. ETH BTC just popped off of its low, just like it did here in, March of 2017, right at the previous cycle all-time high. I mean, this is incredible, man.
This is art, bro. Like you've heard me say it before, man. This shit's way better than anything Picasso ever made. But little do people realize we have the fucking goat of charts right here in front of us with Max, man. Y'all don't realize. I mean, some of you realize how fire this guy is. But man, a lot of people out there in the world, they don't even know who Max is right now. I remember there was a time where fucking nobody knew me. And now people are starting to find out about me. Same thing will happen with Max for sure. And it's very cool that I'm at a point now where people actually pay attention to what I'm saying or doing. Because I remember, like, I swear I'm not much different, man. When I had like 10,000 or 20,000 subscribers, like I'm still the same fucking guy. Just that now, all of a sudden, I get more views all of a sudden now. Like, thank you God. Like, but I swear I'm like the same motherfucker. And it's just like no one wanted to listen before, and now people want to listen to what I have to say. I mean, cool. I've been saying the same shit for years, and I'm just prepared, you know.
No, it's cool, Crash. It's been cool because even when I first met you, man, you had a decent following. Like your Twitter was maybe at like 50 or 60K, right? So certainly bigger than me. But I mean, watching you grow as fast as you have, man, it's cool too because you haven't changed at all. Like, and I didn't know you years ago, right? Like, I met you when you were, about half as big as you are now. But uh, it's cool, right? Because a lot of people change when the spotlight turns to them, and I think it's admirable, very commendable and respectable that for better or for worse, man, like you are who you are, if people like you, they like you. If they don't, they don't. But you're the same guy, whether you had 5 followers or 5 million, you're just Crash, you're just doing your thing. So it's cool to see.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, let's be real. Like, we're all here to make money, and I'm making great money. Max is, and whereas a lot of people out there, they're not making money from their trades, you know. A lot of people, they're not, like, they're just, especially in meme coins, it's a lot of just paid shills. And I have nothing wrong with people doing paid shills and all, like, but there's a difference between making your money from, paid advertisement, or actually from your understanding of the charts and these trades, and I just feel like we're actually making the money here. Like, we're really seeing the things that we can see to give us an edge. And, I want to be the best possible example that I can be, for others, and also just because being the best example for others means actually being the best that I can be, being like, that's ultimately good for me, right? So it's like, sometimes people make it sound like I'm such a selfless guy, like helping everyone make money. It's like you realize I'm making money too. I'm just here to win. I'm here to make as much fucking money as possible. And if I make a lot of money, I know other people are making a lot of money. And so, anyways, man, the ultimate goal is to make money, do right, do good, and just, win this cycle, because there will be losers by the end of the cycle who buy the top. And I don't plan for those top buyers to be any of us here today watching, right? So
Here's the last chart I want to show today. Um, this is USDTD. I know, Crash, you know what this is, but this will, in my opinion, help provide a lot of perspective for people. So think of this chart, guys, as, and here I can make it a little smaller if it's like hard to see my screen. I'm like ultra high time frame. But what this is similarly to Bitcoin dominance. This is just measuring what percentage of crypto Tether, the largest stablecoin, represents or makes up. So right now it's 4.75%. That means that, think of a pie chart. Tether, largest stablecoin in the world, represents just under 5% of all of crypto. So what we really want to focus on here is, and this chart gets me, like, this is the most slept on chart in crypto. This is what gets me really excited and helps provide a lot of clarity for me, because sometimes it can get a little bit noisy out there, right? So what I want to just show here quick, and then we're gonna draw it up a little bit, is there is a perfect negative correlation between your crypto assets appreciating versus, I guess, nuking, right? So here's total. So this is just all of crypto. Here's total. When total's going down, you can see that USDTD is going up. And on the other side of that, when USDTD is going down, your crypto prices are going up. Check price, good price. The reason for that is presumably people are swapping Tether into volatile crypto assets, right? So when Tether is losing dominance and it's dropping, that means that presumably people are buying crypto with it. All right. So let's mark this up just a little bit because I want to show you guys how cooked this chart is. Let's start with a channel, and then I'm going to draw one more thing here. So I'm just going to draw it backwards just to save a little bit of time. All right. There we go. So this is, in my opinion, pretty significant, right? So we had a multi-year trend going all the way back to 2019, and we were in this channel, right? Like you can see significant level plays again, and I'm going to show you how this actually interacts with crypto. Look at all the interaction with this range high, and then even something like the mid range, right? But then this level. Now let me pull up total again, and I want to show you guys the significance of this. Okay, so let me remove all of these. Perfect. All right. Now what I'm going to do here is we're going to mark out all of the significant highs and the significant lows on the total chart. And we're going to overlay it here with USDTD. All right, so let's get out our dot indicator again. All right, so red dot there, red dot here. Look at the crosshairs. Timing is perfect. All right, we're just going to mark out all the interaction with this, with this bottom trend line, okay? So again, look at June 2019 top. This was, we were just kind of grinding up against it. It was like 3, right?
Will
But
you
look at,
put a label on the bottom chart? It's total market cap, right? Just so
yep,
everyone knows.
this is total crypto market cap. So this is it. Just think of your S&P 500. Think of everything in crypto, right? It's got Bitcoin, ETH, all your favorite altcoins.
Yeah.
It's got everything.
Entire industry, everything combined, basically.
Everything. Now look at this significant top, right? Oh, look at the crosshair, perfectly lined up, right? All right, now let's do it on the bottom, right? Or I guess this is the top, right? We'll make the dots. Let's make it purple. Why not? Actually, that'll look too much like blue. We'll do teal. Do blue. All right, called that bottom perfectly. And how about here? Okay, called the COVID bottom. All right, how about right here? Significant pivot point. This one, little deviation, nonetheless, looking pretty good. This one called the summer bottom perfectly, literally to a T. Similarly, called this big drop, and then called the FTX capitulation perfectly. Now, something significant that happened right over here is that we had a multi-year shift of trend. This is going back to 2019. Right here, you can see that we broke down out of this channel, right? Came back, retested it, and now we've nuked. Now, let me just, so we have a little bit more room, move this up so we can manipulate it a little bit and get a clearer picture. There's total. There's USDTD. You can see this channel, this 5-year channel, has called just about, not just about, like literally every significant high time frame pivot, tops and bottoms, going back to 2019, right? And what happened here in the very, very beginning of 2024? We finally broke down out of it. Now, on top of that, I'm going to draw one more line. All right, I'm actually going to draw a box. We're going to draw this level right here. This is extremely significant, guys, because of all of the interaction with this level. All right, look at all of the high time frame interaction with this level, right? Resistance, resistance, support, attempted support, breakdown, right? So you can see the significance of this level after we've broken down out of this 5-year channel. Now, I don't know about you guys, all right? But, and here I'll actually label this USDTD just so nobody forgets. I don't want anybody forgetting. I wouldn't be looking at this chart up here and going, oh, this looks like a prime long setup into this giant gray box of resistance after we broke down out of a 5-year channel. Let's long this. I would not be looking to long this. In my opinion, what is going to happen is the following. You're going to see USDTD nuke, right? And you're probably, if I had to guess the level right now, it would probably be right around here.
Yeah.
Right around here. Reason being is you can see significant interaction, right? This was kind of like a weird area. This global top, right? I'm thinking we probably visit sub 2.8%, okay, conservatively. So in my opinion, the USDTD chart looks completely cooked. We broke out of a 5-year channel that's called every high time frame top and bottom. Look at the dots, right? Very, very significant, right? Here, I'll even add on another purple for this one, just so we're tracking it closely, right? And this thing looks cooked. Like this chart looks heavy as hell. This big gray box is concrete. I didn't even make it red. You're not getting through that. This chart looks completely cooked. I don't know any traders that would look at this and go, yeah, this is a prime long setup after breaking down onto this channel. And now we've got this big SR level right here. This thing is cooked. High time frame, it's completely cooked. So what am I expecting here? I'm expecting this next gray box to get hit, sub 2.8%. And subsequently, because we have identified the pronounced and immediate correlation between USDTD and your crypto prices, something like this. Total should go straight up in a straight line as USDTD goes straight down in a straight line to sub 2.8%. No guarantees, of course, but I mean, I just look at the chart and I don't see a way that USDTD can escape this thing unscathed. I just don't see it. Like, it looks so terrible. It looks so heavy, right? With that giant red box above it. I don't see it, man. It looks heavy, but I just wanted to share that because this really helps put things into perspective, in my opinion. Like, what are you really trading here? What you're trading is people that want to hold crypto assets that move up and down, or basically being cash and stable coins. That's what you're really trading, So anyways, that's all I
Yeah.
got.
Well, just remember, everyone, tether dominance, right? That top chart, right? If that's going down, that means less money is in stable coins and more money is going into Bitcoin and crypto. So once again, that's why when that USDTD chart on the top, when that chart goes down, and then total crypto market cap goes up. So that's why we're looking at that chart. We're like, well, it doesn't look good. It looks bearish. So if tether dominance, right, stable coin dominance looks bearish, right, that means money is coming out of stable coins going into the market. And that's another reason of many that we can be confident on this market being bullish here. That's why we're not bearish here, right? Like some people out there. So just another chart that we look at. And also, by the way, well, if tether dominance gets down to that gray box of support, that means it's probably going to bounce from there, right? And so if tether dominance is going to bounce, that means more money is going to go into stable coins, more money is going to go into tether. And if more money is going into tether, what do you think is going to happen to the price of Bitcoin at that point? Well, it means money is coming out of Bitcoin to go into stable coins, to go into tether, right? That's why the tether dominance is rising. So you can anticipate that as we get closer to that gray box, right, in tether dominance, we're getting closer to a Bitcoin top. And whenever that tether dominance bounces from support, it's going to be the top in the market where it starts dipping from. So yeah, we have, based on that tether dominance chart, since we're anticipating it's going to come down much closer to that gray box, it's going to come down lower to support. Right, we have a lot of upside in the market and a lot of downside, and tether dominance is the way we see it here. So, yeah. Also, I just want to point out, okay, see all the red circles you have, Max, on the tether
Yeah.
dominance chart? You see how they're all higher and higher and higher and higher? So, this is something that I originally overlooked. Now, maybe because of all the institutional money coming in, we do indeed get back down to that gray box again. But actually, just make a red dot higher than that previous red dot, because, well, every red dot has been higher, has it not, on tether dominance? So now just go make like a red dot slightly higher, or maybe see that next level on tether dominance right above the red dot you have.
Like right in
Uh,
here, you're talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So see, that is where you very modestly get to, in my opinion, based on the fact that tether dominance has been bottoming higher up every single time. That's another factor to not overlook, Max, that I originally overlooked. I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe we should start scaling out profits once tether dominance starts getting to around 3.2%,
So you're
right?
talking
As you
about
can
just
see.
market structure, right? Like this, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, like
Okay.
you can see
Yeah.
tether dominance making new highs every, over time. So maybe just we be like, all right, look out for the higher point in tether dominance, actually, which means instead of getting down to 2.5%, it could bottom out around 3 point, what is that, 2%, maybe, we'll see.
Yeah,
But like
I've got
that's
an
where you
alert.
start
I've
to
got
get
an alert
cautious.
set at 3.14. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, look, for me, it's not an all in or all out kind of thing. Like I think, I think the winning strategy is probably like slowly take some profits when it makes sense from a higher time frame perspective. But you know, People are under the misconception that like a top is formed in like an hour, you know? Like a top is formed over multiple months. You know, it's not like a jet ski, it's like a cargo ship. It takes a long time to actually turn over. I mean, look at how long this top was formed here. I mean, like for total, this began in February and we actually like global topped in May, right? Like there was about multiple months of distribution before we actually put in a high time frame top. So everyone thinks that like, oh, the Pico top is in within 1 hour. Well, yeah, I mean, the top tick might be within a second, right? But that distributive range, the final range, it takes a long time. So, I mean, you're probably going to see something for USDTD like this. In my opinion, you probably go down like this, maybe tag 3, bounce back up to,
Yeah.
3.9. Then you probably come back down, maybe dip sub 3. And then, months and months later, then you start to, put in that bottom or something like
Yeah,
that.
it takes time to definitively, uh, you know, form that bottom in tether dominance and then the top in Bitcoin. But ultimately, man, what's the $1 million, actually more than $1 million value from this chart here? Is you can very easily see when do you want to be heavily going into the market and when do you want to be actually scaling out and taking profits from the market. So, as tether dominance gets closer to that gray box, that's not the time to go all into the market. That's time to be actually taking money out of the market. So while all these goofballs out there download Coinbase app in the bull run and during, euphoria and hype, little do they realize they're buying the market as tether dominance is basically about to reach support and bounce. See,
Yeah.
like they don't know this, like they're so unaware.
Yeah, they
So
don't
they'll
know.
buy the top and you'll be scaling out at the top. There you
And
go.
here's the thing, man, like we all go through that phase of not knowing. For me it was beginning of last cycle, right? And you make mistakes. So there's going to be people that probably are not even invested in crypto that come in and download Coinbase and Robinhood when USDTD is at 2.95%, and most of us are slowly scaling out of the market, months and months from now, maybe even years. We'll see when we get there. Timing is difficult, and they're probably going to get burned and lose money. And then it's up to them whether they want to put in the hours during the next bear market to learn and not only make that money back, but kind of take charge of the market and their own finances, give themselves the knowledge and the education to do things right the next time. It's kind of it's a process that most people have gone through, right? Nobody starts off as an expert. And if you're here watching the stream, you have a major leg up on most people because unironically, you are early, you are pre-rich, you are getting ready for that move down to 3% USDTD, and you follow Crash or you follow me, you know what I mean? And we're here posting updates constantly. So you guys have put in the hard work, and in my opinion, you deserve the ride down for USDTD. It's going to be fun.
It is. And luckily, like I said, we're not the people going to be buying the market as tether dominance is reaching support. Like, can't stress that enough, man. While people are out there clueless, they're not looking at the charts, they will be buying when tether dominance is getting close to that gray box or that red dot that you see there, right? We already planned this years in advance. Like, I know as we work our way down to those levels, I'm scaling out profits. Meanwhile, other people are buying. And like that, man, okay, it's been a long stream, right? And for a lot of you watching, how many made it to this point? I don't know. I'm actually shocked. About 1.5K on my YouTube right now are watching at this moment. And supposedly on Twitter, we have like 24,000 watching, over 24,000. So
Wow.
congratulations if you made it to this point in the chart. This single, chart, like take a screenshot, look at this, like this is going to give you a massive edge over 99% of the market who aren't going to be looking at this chart. You think the taxi driver is looking at tether dominance? No. You think grandma is looking at that stuff? No. Like these guys, they're going to be clueless. They're just going to barge into the market and they're going to buy the top. And so once again, we have the roadmap well in advance. We have planned this out, months and years in advance. So we're going to be ready and we will not be the fucking losers by the end of the cycle. Because ultimately, man, why the fuck would I spend years of my life just to lose? Okay. I'm not going to sit here for years and talk for hours just to lose when this is all said and done and be the top buyer, bro. I'm here to make sure that we come out on
Or
top on the
my friend Tommy always says that made me what you just said made me think of him. He always says, "Imagine letting another man liquidate you," you know? It's like, imagine letting another man beat you, you know? You don't spend years of your life doing this just to lose, you know? Imagine doing that.
Yeah, bro, it ain't gonna be us, you know? And so God bless us all, man. I don't know, probably around 30,000 viewers across all platforms right now. That's pretty dope. So, dude, ultimately, we've looked at the big picture. I think everyone should have a better understanding of it, and we're going to keep coming back to this big picture because, man, there's going to be people who find this in 4 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, and they will not have seen this, right? They're still going to be the clueless guy buying the top probably without watching this. So, anyways, outside of the big picture, man, I know you're really bullish on Andy. Yeah, you want to talk about some maybe some meme coins or some other plays. Like for example, man, like outside of meme coins, like I'm in a big time,
You
right?
don't
It's a
look at big
gaming
time?
coin. Yeah, that's like my leverage bet on the gaming sector. I'll share my screen with you real quick, and I'll show you why.
Yeah.
This is like my bet on the gaming sector here, even though I'm not as bullish on the gaming sector as I am on meme coins, right? And so I'll show you very easily through this chart why I'm buying big time. Um, just last week, I bought a $300,000 spot position, and then I have leverage in on it as well. And I was just up around 300K. I'm down on big time now, around 110K right now. This is, I got multiple positions running right now. So I just locked in 470K on Pepe, another 240K on Pepe. So over a 700K win there on Pepe for me. But that's a cool thing is like you're seeing in real time, some positions are underperforming while some are outperforming, right? Like I have positions that are doing great, and I actually have some positions that aren't doing as good. And that's the thing, man. There's flows. There's times where gaming coins will outperform the shit out of everything. And then there's times where it's going to underperform, right? So like right now, big time has been underperforming Ethereum. But that's why we talk about how money trickles down the ladder. So first, Ethereum starts to outperform, and then the gaming coins on top of Ethereum will start to outperform later on. And so,
Mhm.
I see this as like a bottom one, bottom two, bottom three, and then notice how the RSI keeps getting higher as it's coming lower, right? So I love to see that, right? When you have three lower lows, three higher highs in the RSI. And so to me, this is a chart that's been bleeding. It's a chart that's been
Hey,
shitting
Crash,
the
real
bed.
quick, man. Some dude in your YouTube is just going wild in the comments. You might wanna jeet him. Just a heads up.
Dude, I can't mod this on my phone.
No,
I'm
y
not.
it's yeah, just giving you a heads up. He's going crazy. But anyway, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, dude, bro, and just to everyone out there watching, man, like it's really annoying when y'all spam tickers and stuff. Like it just makes your coin look worse, to be honest. Advice for everyone, like if you're shilling a coin, like make thoughtful comments that people will be like, oh shit, either that's witty, that's smart, that makes sense. That's how you actually get people's attention, in my opinion, like and actually like get them bullish on it. But if you look like just a retarded shiller or spammer, like it just makes you look bad and it makes your coin look bad too a lot of times. So you really rather give good reasoning and something cool that opens people's minds. But anyways, as you can see, right, we go lower, 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 higher, higher, higher. So I love buying beat up charts because beat up charts at some point will have their moment, right? Especially this being a gaming coin built on top of Ethereum. Well, I know that Ethereum starts to perform good. ETH BTC pair starts to go up and to the right, which will allow this to actually be in a favorable market condition, right? ETH BTC pair goes up and to the right, which allows this thing to start going up and to the right. And so I think that we're at a point where since this is going to go up and to the right, that allows this to actually create a bottom and start to go up and to the right next as well, and then start to outperform Ethereum heavily. So once again, if ETH goes up 3x, then I would hope that this thing starts to go up quite a bit against ETH, right? And it's something that can go up here against ETH, right? Like it can go back up to here. It could 10x versus ETH, right? So ETH could go up 3x, and if this went up 10x against it, was that like a 30x or something if it gets back to this high later in the bull market? So that's the way I see it. And then you have this downtrend which will be broken, right? So yeah, I'm betting on that. I'm bottom fishing here, basically loading up on this as like a gaming bet for me this cycle. And yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering if you have any other plays that, um, you think are going to outperform outside of like Caspa, um, or maybe you just want to go over Andy or like or something, like because I'm trying to outperform, right? So I'm looking at these
Yeah.
charts, and maybe you found something that's gonna you think is gonna outperform that I haven't noticed that I should be buying.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let me share my chart. I'll quickly
Okay.
show you what I see with big time. Pretty similar to what you're seeing. So big time USD on the left, so just normal big time. This level, this is a really, really significant level for the US dollar pair that it's at. I mean, this is like its floor right here. So I would say that, just given where ETH is at, right, you could maybe see like a little deviation, like worst case, but you really should start to see this thing, kind of recover and ultimately expand to the upside, right? Unless it's a dud. And I can only assume that you've done enough due diligence to be somewhat excited about, you know, gaming with crypto. I'm not super into gaming, so I don't follow it as closely as I probably should. It's not a good
Yeah, I'm not
excuse.
super into it either, man, but, like, I have this video on my channel, like, Big Time is about to pump like crazy. I shared it with you one time. You didn't know
Yeah,
me at that time, and then look at the pump that Big Time did, dude. Look over there on the left side of that freaking
yeah,
chart, right? So I know this baby can pump good, like, um, this thing can go crazy at the right time, and so, like, there it went up like 6x in a freaking month, or, like, within days, actually, like weeks. So I'm just like, hey man, I can sit through some bleeding out for a while until the thing just snaps, right? Like I'm fine with that because like when it does snap, when it does turn on, man, that thing does like a 6x in a week or a month. And like that's ultimately what these gaming coins or really any sector that's like out there is like they have their moments in the cycle where like okay,
yeah,
this is what happens in the bull, right? You'll have like one sector outperforming, and then everyone decides like, okay, let's all rotate into that sector, and then just like another sector just goes like pops off like crazy that month. It's like
yep,
they have there's these rotations, and ultimately when you're buying in the depths of hell here, like on this chart was just shitting itself, you're buying with the anticipation that eventually there's going to be a moment in time where gaming is going to have its moment, right? Whether that moment lasts a month or 3 months or 6 months of mania, right? Like you're betting there's going to be a time where that sector will have its moment. And when that thing has its moment, this will be one
yep,
of those coins that should pop off with that sector, right? So yeah, that's just my bet
100%.
on the gaming sector, and that this way I don't really have to make many bets on the gaming sector because this is a pretty liquid gaming coin that I know like some of the biggest people are invested into like in the gaming space because like if let's be real, like the two biggest people in gaming are Alex Becker and Elio Trades, right?
Yeah,
They've kind of like popularized that gaming meta and that narrative. And so when this thing does have its time to shine, and you have the biggest people in the space behind the gaming sector talking about it because I know they're invested in it and they're bullish on it. Yeah, this thing will pop off at the right time. So it's just a matter of accumulating the lows, accumulating the death, like the thing that looks like it's absolute shit. Because that's the thing. If I can buy something when it looks shit, I'm gonna get to sell it when it looks great. When it looks like holy shit, this thing is pumping, right?
yeah. There's no. I mean, looking at a beat up chart, right? Like, there's no better risk to reward. Like, if you have the nuts to go in there and try to scoop it off of a high time frame level, you deserve it. You deserve everything that's coming to you, whether it works out or whether it doesn't work out, right? Like that's the name of the game. Like if you have the balls to step in front of a bleed, um, if it pumps, you're gonna have the best entry out there. You're gonna make the most money. But at the same time, of course, it could perpetually continue to bleed. But in this case, right, I would imagine that any ERC token, whether gaming
Yeah.
or otherwise, at this inflection point in the market, where me personally, I am expecting Ethereum USD to go into price discovery this year, I would be very surprised to see any ERC20 token bleeding down. Just as a byproduct of its L1 performing well, you should see some capital rotate into big time. I do appreciate the big time ETH pair. I appreciate right now the high time frame bull div that's attempting to form here. Looks pretty
Bro,
good. Me
it's so good.
personally, I don't
Yeah.
have the cojones to step in here, but if it did do something like this, 100% I'm scooping that right there. 100%. And it's on my
But dude,
watch
just
list because I know
look at
you're
that chart on the right, man. That is a classic bubble, then pop, and you're buying that shit at the fucking bottom, give or take.
yeah,
Like, I'm telling you, man, that pattern, right? That's what I'm all about. Pattern recognition. Like looking at the patterns and just that is a shape, right? That's like a triangle to me. A triangle, man, it doesn't matter what you fucking say. It's a triangle. It has 3 points. Like
yeah.
that thing has it is a shape. You can't tell me it's not a triangle. And to me, that is like a bubble. It popped. I'm buying the bottom, and that shit's gonna pop off later. So to
It
me,
should. It should for sure. 100% it should. Um, I mean,
like
my
I'm buying a
only
shape, man. I'm buying a triangle. I'm buying a square. I'm like, it's literally provable to me, like because that pattern in my head is just a pattern that I know works. So I just buy the pattern, man. That's it. Man. That's all I'm doing.
so speaking of
Easy
buying
money.
patterns, you remember I messaged you earlier and I asked if you ever trade options or equities, and I didn't have a chance
Yeah.
to get back to you. I can share a play here that I've taken recently that I'm pretty excited about. It's pretty high risk, but the payout is like 200 to 1 if it hits.
Let's
It is an
go.
options play, but it's basically a bet on Bitcoin going into a mania phase sometime this year. Um, so it's actually basically really far out of the money, naked calls on Bitcoin miner companies. And I'll show you why if we're talking about buying patterns. Um, what we have up here, let me delete this. What we have up here is Riot. All right. So
Oh,
I
I
know this
love
is not,
this already, dude.
you like it. I was going to say it's not a sexy crypto play, but the payout's about 200 to 1 if they do hit. Um, I am deep in these right now because what you're betting on is I don't care about the fundamentals of the business. I don't care that there's better Bitcoin miner companies out there like CleanSpark. I own those too. But what I was able to do is sift through the options chain of all the top Bitcoin miner companies, find the most liquid call options, which Crash I can share with you off stream because I don't want to see a bunch of volume come in on them yet. I don't know if I'm ready for that, but um, I can share which contracts I'm playing here, which date, which strike, everything like that. I found some really liquid, far out of the money calls that I think are premier. And what we notice here for Riot, and then Bitcoin is down here below, is there's a pattern that happens every single time Bitcoin goes into price discovery, and it's basically that in a very short period of time, Bitcoin miner companies have a blow off top. Like for example, here for Riot, we saw it go from $3 right as Bitcoin last cycle was about to go into price discovery. We saw Riot go from $3 up to $75 in about 3 months. Right. So what I'm doing right now is, and I'll share the info with you off stream. What I'm betting on is that Bitcoin is going to go into price discovery this year. And if this pattern continues to play out, we'll see Riot up here to a new high, similarly to what it did last cycle, which would be 80 to $100. And again, the payout's about 200 to 1 on them, so you don't have to risk a ton of money. But these are things where, to me, it feels like these contracts have been materially mispriced and discounted because TradFi and Legacy don't truly understand the likelihood of and the timing of these Bitcoin cycles. They
Mhm.
don't spend as much time focusing on it, so they've discounted the likelihood of a very short and quick mania phase and rapid repricing of severely beaten up leaps, or naked call options. So it's really what it is it's a bet that Bitcoin's going to go into price discovery this year. And if it does, it's potentially a 200 to 1 payout. But if you're wrong, the options go to zero. So I'm
Right.
I'm interested in stuff like this. I'm looking for talk about beaten and bruised. These contracts, I mean, for someone here's the way to think of it, right? For some schmuck out there to look at this and go, yeah, I'll give this guy 200 to 1 odds that Riot doesn't go above $50 this year. Is these like, I can't believe someone did that to me, right? They gave me 200 to 1 odds that Riot wouldn't get above this complacency shoulder from last
Right.
cycle this year. That's crazy. Crazy. They're gonna have to call me personally to get out of these contracts, man. I don't know who wrote them, but
Bro,
it's
these are the best plays though, is whether it works out or not, when you say, "What the f like, what?" Like,
yeah,
this is crazy, like, oh my god, like and I oftentimes have, like, this instinct where when I see something and because like, the way you said it, it just resonates with me where I'll be like, what the like, bro, I just like hop out of bed, I go buy something like or whatever. Like it could be 3 a.m. and I just go put on a position. Like it literally just happened to me on big time. And like a week or two ago, I put on the position and within days I'm up like 300K. Now it's come
Yeah.
back down and I'm down like 100K right now. But at that specific moment in like when I jumped out of bed, it's because my instincts were right. That big time was gonna pump from there and it did, you know. So I'm sticking with the trade though, even though I'm down 100K. Once again, like how do I sit here confidently being down 100K? Like, cause I was up 300K, down 100K. That's a $400,000 difference in P&L. And I know those swings are very tough for some people to stomach, and like to some people it's uncomfortable. I would say some of the reasons that make it comfortable for me is because it's a pretty small percentage of my portfolio. You know, it's not like I can easily go to
Mhm.
sleep on that position and it really doesn't bother me at all. But also because I understand like, you know, liquidation is incredibly far from me. I'm on like a 2x leverage or 3x leverage. And then I understand the timing of the cycle, ETH BTC pair. And I'm just like, yeah, man, even if I'm down like 100K to 200K here, like I'm just very confident with the positioning of the charts that like, all right, ETH BTC snaps on, is doing good. And then the tokens on top of Ethereum, like big time should do really well. It's like, man, if I got to sit down here at the bottom, like in a negative P&L for a little, like I'm just not worried. I know it should snap on and it should outperform very hard when the time comes. And then all of a sudden your negative 200, negative 100K P&L turns into like plus 2 million, 3 million over
Mhm.
like a week or two, you know? And
Yeah.
then, like I said, I'm buying the depression. I'm buying when the shit's pretty much flat, getting really, really, really close to the bottom, give or take just a little bit, you know? So, anyways,
100%. And that's the winning strategy, man. And patience is pertinent, right? Like a lot of people buy stuff and they expect to be up like gorillions in an instant. You have to be okay sitting in a position and allowing the position to mature and give it the time to do that. And bringing it back to this play, it's like for those that don't trade options, this is a nightmare for people that are in options. Like if you bought the contracts that I'm in right here, it may be the same price, like Riot may be the same price, but there's something called theta decay where you have to basically pay to keep your contract open every single day. People have burned probably 90% of their contract's value just because they bought it too early. The most
yeah,
important thing to note with options contracts is the timing of things, right? Because you're paying to keep it open. So I maybe bought a little early. I bought like a couple weeks ago or something like that. So I've probably burned a little bit, but not too bad. But I'm buying contracts right now. Yeah, the chart looks like it's moving sideways. Someone bought it when Riot was at, 11 bucks. It's at 11 bucks right now, but this was back in April, right? And
yeah, you
now
buy
it's
at the same price, but at very different times, and the
yeah.
payout is just ridiculously different.
So now if it works for this person and it goes up here, they might make, maybe they'll make 5x. Me, I'll make
Yep.
200x because I bought it
Yep.
at the right time. I waited till the contracts were distressed. So
Yeah, a lot of people probably aren't familiar with that, but I understand that fully. And man, you think I can chuck 20K in those contracts and come out with 4 mil?
I do. I put about 17K in them. I've got a little bit left just because, again, I mean, it's ultra high risk, right? Like the payouts
Yeah, it's
potentially
like, hey,
200 to
it's
1.
either 0 or you're making, you know, a
Yeah.
fire freaking
And I
trade.
don't check them, bro. Like I have them in a brokerage
Yeah,
account. They're sitting there. And when Bitcoin goes to 100K, 120K, I'll open the brokerage and I'll see how the prices, I'll see how they've priced my contracts. It's like, I don't need to monitor it. Like I made a calculated bet that this fractal is going to continue to play. And that I believe somebody made a huge mistake in writing me these contracts that I purchased. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I think that they're
This is dope, bro.
I'll
This is
send
also
the
a
I'll send the
lot.
contract to you. They're very liquid. Like you could get in and out with 20K no problem. That was the tough part in finding this play was there's a lot of like far out of the money calls on other miner companies that there is no liquidity on them, man. Like the spread was huge. Like you couldn't size in. You could buy like 500 bucks. So I found kind of what I think is a unicorn where it was actually there was a lot of open interest, really liquid. The spread was relatively tight given how far out of the money they were. It's still not amazing, but yeah. Anyways, just kind of, I mean, look, it's a different play, right? It's not an
It's
altcoin.
dope.
It's basically
It's great, dude.
ultra leverage Bitcoin play. is what it
Bro,
is.
someone based on this trade, whether it works or not, right? Like me, man, I don't like if I lost 20K on this idea, like I'm not gonna sit there and cry. Like because I ultimately choose to put like 20K in a trade idea. And it's like it's up to me. I can only risk like $100, 200, 500, 1,000, right? So
Yeah.
the fact that you even put on a potential, 100 to 200x opportunity, and then it's up to people like, hey, you want to position with like $500, knowing that could easily be zero because these options could expire worthless if we're wrong. But hey, if it hits and we get in the money by that time, then obviously the payout could be massive. So it's like dope to even just bring up these ideas that are kind of a little bit out the box and just it's cool. It's really cool. You can
For
always
sure.
respect when there's reasoning and a pattern behind an idea, whether it plays out or not, right? Like you can only take your best um, you know, educated guess based on the information you have. And based on the information you have, it looks like a pretty fucking calculated and good bet and a dope pattern, which is ultimately what I base most of my trading and decisions off of is patterns, man.
Then let's ride, bro. Let's buy some contracts.
Absolutely. I'll be joining you.
All right, man. Well, that's all I've got. We've been going for about 2 hours and 35 minutes. This was epic. This was a marathon. Anything else you want to talk about while we're here?
I mean, I just know you're really bullish on Andy. I just want to thank you again because I'm up like 20K on that. Obviously, not a massive position for me, but regardless, I don't. Bitcoin hasn't went up more than 2x since then, right? Whereas I have made over 2x on that. So thank you for that. The chart looks really good, man. You know, I may add some more soon, and it just makes sense that that should go above 1 billion eventually. This cycle seems like a pretty fair bet in my eyes. Obviously, Brett, you know me. I think it's going. I made an interesting point, which is that okay, if you're on Solana, right, for you buy the Solana coin, right, as your gas and as your token. If you're on ETH, you use ETH. Base, for example, they don't have a base coin, right? They don't have it.
Yeah.
So Brett is the base coin, bro. Like that is so crazy to think about, right? Because if
Yeah.
institutions or big money wants to bet on that network and its upside, the best way to do it is through Brett now as the most liquid vehicle to speculate
Yeah.
on the upside of that blockchain. And so instead of these massive positions you could have on a base coin, instead, I think what we're seeing is massive money, right? Hedge funds, billion-dollar firms, like they're going to be buying into Brett as their speculative vehicle to bet on the upside of this blockchain, man. So that gives Brett a really special point um, that can legitimately send this to a 50 to 150 billion-dollar market cap. And Brett right now is at like 1.4 billion. So that's
Yeah.
the thing, right? Like, what's the cliche saying? A rising tide lifts all ships. So
Yeah.
the Pepe, which is exactly that. But I think, man, people underestimate the fact this unique, factors that Brett has behind it. Like Base not having a coin. Which, by the way, if Base does have a coin, you do realize that's going to be like a 50 to 150 billion-dollar airdrop. And then when that you get a massive airdrop like that and people get free money, $1,000, 2,000, 5,000, $10,000 of free money, a lot of that money finds its way into the number one meme coin on the chain. So if Base does an airdrop, a lot of that money, like billions of dollars, is gonna be
Then your
flowing.
targets are too low, then it changes everything. That's the truth of it. Like if that airdrop comes out, man, for base, and I don't even know if it needs it, right? Then it's like,
That's the thing. And so that's the thing. It's checkmate, dude. Like you win no matter how you slice it here. Base has an airdrop, you're going to see the biggest injection of liquidity ever into an ecosystem. You're going to see a 50 to 150 billion dollar airdrop, of which a lot of that money is going to find its way and rotate into the number one meme as people sell their base coin to go buy Brett, right? Because that's what people do when they get free money. They sell the airdrop and then they go buy memes or they buy other shit. So if you have a base coin, fucking Brett is going to rip to ridiculous heights. If you don't have a base coin, well, guess what? Institutions are going to be speculating on Brett as the base coin. Like Brett is base coin right now. Like it's
yeah,
literally chess. Like this is not checkers, this is chess. We won. Like we already nailed the shit. And so like for me, I made a tweet yesterday saying that holding Brett, it feels more comfortable than holding Bitcoin or real estate. And by the way, I hold Bitcoin, I hold real estate. Okay. So I'm not just kidding when I say that. I legitimately feel like we played chess here and we won. And now it's a matter of the money flow, right? It's a matter of new people coming to base, which they will. It's a matter of that ETH BTC pair performing. It's a matter of Bitcoin and ETH going into price discovery. When that happens, it is going to unlock the floodgates of money flow into base and into Brett. So literally, it doesn't matter how you slice it. It literally just comes down to money flow at this point, and this asset will rise with base and with ETH and BTC and price discovery. Like, I have zero doubt in my mind. Like, this is just a leverage bet on this entire industry, and specifically on base as a chain. I think people just don't, they lack the vision, they lack the understanding of so many factors at play here, like the big picture, right? Like ETH BTC, like Bitcoin and ETH going into price discovery, like base not having a coin, but if they do have a coin, like either way you slice it, ridiculous amounts of money flow are coming to Brett this cycle. So like I know, I hold Andy, I hold Brett. Like I just feel so confident in Brett though, like because of that. Like I can legit see Brett going to 50 to 150 billion this cycle as a result of the things that I see.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I like what you said about people wanting to make a big bet on base, but not being able to buy an L1, you know? So it's like, where do they size into something? They're limited with options, right? And right now, Bread is a pretty obvious choice, especially given that it's a meme coin and it's been such a
It's the
a
only
meme
coin
coin
above a
dominant.
billion. It's the only coin above a billion, man. This
Yeah,
thing will be base coin. Like, so what would base coin be valued at? 50 to 150 billion. That's literally what I think Brett is going to do. It's as long as base coin is not around, Brett is a substitute for it. Brett is base now, actually. Like Brett, okay, Solana coin is the coin of the chain. Brett is the coin of the chain. Like it is literally base now. Like once people realize that, man, it's absolutely ridiculous how high this thing is going to go to. And man, you wait and see when Bitcoin and ETH go into price discovery soon. People have no fucking idea how bullish this is about to get on Brett and base. And as Ethereum gas fees skyrocket, right? As it gets expensive to use that network, people are going to bridge over to base where they use ETH as the gas, but right, they actually can pay less than a penny to do their transactions on base. So base is just Ethereum, man. It's just
base is
it
honestly
really.
unreal, man. Like it gives me like early Solana vibes, but better, honestly. Like I love using base. Uh, it's so epic. If you guys haven't used Base, I mean, all of you should have at this point. But like, download Coinbase Web3 wallet and try out Base. It is fucking unreal. Like, love Base. Just side note there.
Yeah.
Do you think we're gonna
So
get like a Base season crash? I know people have talked about
it's
this idea of
inevitable.
like a Base season where
Bro,
you
it's
see like
inevitable.
Base go
When
crazy.
ETH gas fees go up, people are going to transition into base.
So later in the cycle is what you're saying, like
But
ETH price discovery when it gets
there's
expensive.
been there's been many base seasons to this point, right? And a lot of it has to do with like I feel like if Pepe does well, right, on ETH, then by extension base starts to do well, for example. Whether that's because people are taking profits on Pepe and rotating it into Bread, whether that's just because, Bread is like a beta to Pepe right now, maybe. Whether that's because Ethereum does well, then Pepe does well, and then Base does well. Like there's an order of operations in which these things perform, right? So you have these mini seasons, but like the bubble hasn't really started on Base yet. It's not even close. So it's gonna get crazy.
It's gonna get wild, man. And I put up these two charts, right? Obviously, I'm really focused on Andy. I own Brett as well, and I'm super confident in both. They're just different plays, obviously. But the point of me showing this is like, why do the charts look somewhat why do the structures look similar? And it goes back to this idea of Ethereum beta, right? It's like ETH goes down, Ethereum beta gets hit harder, right? The market's not as confident. ETH starts to move up, Ethereum beta starts to move up, right? It's really that simple. And we talked about this concept before crash where it's like ETH right now is what, 3,500 bucks, give or take. What happens when ETH is at 7,000? And somebody swaps, instead of a $3,500 ETH, they swap a $7,000 ETH into Andy. What does that price impact look like? What if they bridge over that $7,000 ETH to base and then they put it into Brett? What's that price impact look like, right? And then you got thousands of people doing it. So it's like right now, these projects, these charts are looking really good, like with concrete bases underneath them. Like, look at this, these high time frame reaccumulations, breakouts, small pullbacks before ultimately, in my opinion, both of them going tremendously higher, right? Like just a simple reaccumulation. We see it all the time. And they're swimming upstream because ETH looks like a pile of crap right now, right? What about when ETH doesn't look like a pile of crap? And people, they take off their, they take off that, what do you even like like a governor on a golf cart that limits how fast you can go? What happens when they remove that? What happens when they just start, pedal to the metal? What happens when ETH goes from 3,500 to 7,000? Right? The price impact of these projects that are beta to their L1, both of these, Andy and Brett being beta to Ethereum as their L1s, at least Brett for now, since Base doesn't have a token. You're not ready for that ETH over, in price discovery. You're just simply not ready for it. That Bitcoin dominance capitulation with ETH and price discovery. I'm so excited, Crash. I am so damn excited, bro. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah, bro. I mean, we're ready. I'm just so excited. And I was like, obviously that's my bull case on Brett. And there's so many more factors. Obviously, I spent like hours and hours and spaces and videos explaining why I think it's going to blow up so hard. I don't know if you have extra reasoning for Andy that I don't know, but man, ultimately, like that's the way I see it. So, man, thank you for doing this stream with me today. Almost 3 hours. That's so crazy that we can sit here and talk about charts and stuff for 3 hours. Man, it's amazing.
We could probably keep going on.
We could keep going, but I have to check out in 8 minutes at this place I'm at right now. So we'll wrap it up here, man, I think. But
Yeah.
just honor to do this stream with you as usual. To those of you who don't know him, man, look in the description of my live right now. If you're on YouTube, his channel is there to subscribe to. His Twitter is there. I truly believe this is, when it comes to charts and visuals, there's no one better in the world right now. So I just, for me, I want to surround myself with the best people in the world, and I believe Max is that. So it makes me better. It makes people around who are watching today better. And it's a huge net positive. I joke around like I want to start my own country, bro. Like I want to have my own country, and the rule to be in my country is you need to be a net positive to the world, or like a net positive to the country. And if anyone believes, like if there's a majority vote that you're a net negative, you get kicked out of my country. And now I'll create the most powerful fucking nation of all time because of the way it's structured. Right now, you don't get kicked out of your country if you're a net negative. Imagine my country. Every motherfucker is a net positive or bring something to the table, how powerful we'd be. So Max would definitely be in my fucking country. You have a passport, you have a citizenship, man, to it. And we'll fucking conquer.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. I plan to live atop a nice mountain in Crash Land. All right. I'm going to stake my claim early, get some prime real estate. Thanks for the invitation, bro.
Hell yeah, bro. All right, man. Good stream.
Thanks so much for being here, guys. I'm sure we'll do this again. I don't know, next month or something. We'll check in. But yeah, Crash, is a pleasure, bro. Guys, please like and subscribe. If you guys don't follow Crash, I'm sure you all do. But if you don't, and you're on the BB channel, guys, his links are down below. Crash, thanks so much for being here, bro. This is a great time. 3-hour marathon. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And we will see you sometime next month, perhaps. Take care, guys.